They're breaking that threshold?
Yeah.
Bro, let's just say...
Herman Miller Gaming is the official chair partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time is now for your ALGs Match Point Finals. London, are you ready? We came into this weekend with 40 of the best Apex Legends all around the world with one goal: to be a champion. And to be a champion, you have to be a predator and set this stage ablaze one more time. And that time is now. Coming out first, looking to snipe the competition. Give it up for Exit! Green Wall fans unite for Optic Gaming! Heavy is the hand, Black Hand! From the land of the rising sun, Fanatic Psycho! Ready to breathe fire, Oxygen Esports! United with London, Alliance! Ready to wreck the competition, the worldwide favorite is RG! The defending champions, TSM! They're not playing any games. Riddle order side 2. Ready to reach new heights. A stand! Throw it up all around the world. The FaZe Clan! Ready to run it up again. 100 Thieves! It's the Sushi Gang. FC Destroy! Looking to make history, Ganbarea Dolson! Viva Mexico! LG Chivas! The Thunder from down under, Moist Esports! not together, they die together. The Pioneers! Getting ready to chew through the competition. Fire Beavers! Now, it wouldn't be a match point finals without our amazing guests. Everybody give it up for Rain Day, Glitter, Tiff, and Dia! Now, the stage is set, but I need to hear this all around the world. In the chat and in the venue, are you guys ready to go? Rain Day, let's get it going.
Well, we have been waiting for London to sound like this ever since the beginning of the week. 20 teams have made it to your match point finals. This is Split 2 playoffs in London. Can I hear you one more time, Copper Box? Can you make some noise? Oh, baby. There's nothing like it. Thank you all so much for being here. We are excited to get underway with what I feel is the best Sunday in esports. And of course, I am here joined by the best crew that I could think of to have by my side. My name is Rain Day. This is Glitter Explosion. Glitter, how do you feel going into another match point finals?
Listen, this is the best part of our competition. I am literally buzzing with excitement right now. We have a stacked lobby, and already the competition has been insane for 3 straight days. I cannot wait to see what happens here today.
Spider Tiff, you've been casting. You're on the desk now for us with the finals. So exciting. How are you feeling going into today?
I am so ready to see what is going to happen on the stage with the players. For those of you that have joined us today, thank you so much. The energy in the Copper Box Arena is insane, and I cannot wait to see which team is going to rise to the top.
One thing I want to say, huge congratulations to Dia joining us at LAN at this stage for the first time. It is so great to have you. What are your thoughts heading into Sunday and all the action we have yet to unfold?
It's already been a pleasure, so the fact that we get to jump into the most exciting format that Apex has to offer, match point with the best teams in the world. We have seen these teams adapt throughout the group stage, throughout the elimination stage, and now it's time to find out who takes it all.
One of my favorite things about this is, yes, it is work for these players to get here, but when you talk about just the Sunday, it's a good day's work when you talk about the prizing that's being delivered out. Let's take a look at what is on the line for today. Not just pride, not just regional pride, personal pride. It is some actual cash. $300,000 for our winner. Second place gets a cool $160,000 all the way down to 20th, getting $9,000. That is still a great day of work at the office. I know these players, though, don't want to aim for anything but first, but when you consider it, Glitter, having the ability to win this match point finals, to get that $300K, there's still a big challenge for these teams to actually claim that top prize.
Absolutely. It's not going to be an easy battle at all, and it's not only the money, but it's also these points that they have on the line as well. Some of these teams really need those points if they want to secure a spot when it comes to champs. So, I mean, there's a lot going on here right now.
The energy, you hear it through our cameras. It is special, Tiff. This is what we live for here in Apex, isn't it?
This is everything. You can see all the different cheering sections. You've got so many members of Alliance up there. Dark Zero, Fnatic, Ascend. Man, Ascend, really, they want to run it back. TSM? Okay, of course, yeah, it's TSM.
It wouldn't be an Apex event if we didn't have TSM champs. I think we could genuinely not have TSM at the event, and we would still have TSM champs.
I don't know how it's so easy for me to see Weston over there. I see some Verholz brothers chilling in the corner. It's a big fan base from North America, EMEA, APAC North, or APAC South. Let's take a look at those teams, though, as I kind of set you up for the regions participating in this final. Tiff, give me your thoughts. Just overall, a couple of names that are standing out in this winner's finals.
Oh, a couple names for sure. You got Xset. I always say it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when for them. Riddle Order, and then even the two-time champs, Dark Zero. I had a chance to speak and meet all of Jen Burton's family, and they are so kind. And now, of course, Insta favorites for them.
Dia.
I mean, looking at this, I've been absolutely floored, as I have through the entire competition, from our competitors coming out of APAC North. I also want to give huge credit to Moist. There were a lot of doubts about how they'd perform
That's true.
on the international stage.
Glitter, amazing for APAC South. Who do you have your eyes on? It's a stacked lobby either way.
I know it's really hard to choose, but for me, I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes on
on LG. They've had an insane run here so far this entire weekend, and also Fnatic. We talked a lot about APAC North. They are a powerhouse. We got to see the piece about Yuka. So once again, another top team for me.
Big storylines throughout all of this has been, can North America back-to-back? Can TSM do it yet again here in the same stadium that they did it in February? Coming down from the heavens, Hal certainly wishes he can get back up there today. However, EMEA has yet to win a big LAN on a stage that has been in EMEA now twice. 3 times, actually, if you count last year. Will they finally do it? APAC South playing better than people expected, and APAC North showing up in droves to say that we are here at the level of international competition for Apex. Who will be the winner today, though? Well, we have to focus on a few distinct storylines. And I'll start with you, Blair. Who's your one to watch for today?
All right, I had to do it. I keep picking them for me. It is Alliance, and there is good reason behind this, okay? Second overall out of groups, third overall winners bracket, which means they're now starting with 8 points here in our finals because of that consistency. And obviously, they have effect, but this team would not be finding the success that they've found so far without the likes of Yuki and Hackies and everything they bring to the team, not only in their ability, but also in their experience. Now, one thing I do want to note is that Alliance's conversion rate is better on World's Edge than it is on Stormpoint, so paying attention to that and the timing when they hit match point is going to be really important for them, in my opinion, but they are confident. I spoke with them. They're sounding great.
Yeah, they're right behind us. They had to kind of hang out with us while we were getting ready to walk on stage. Great point. I think a lot of people assuming Alliance may take it. Dia, I want to talk to you, though. Who do you have your eyes on today and why?
Going into these games, my eyes are on Gunbar Eotosan. I think they've performed wonderfully, and more importantly than whether they even pick up the win or not, they are going to be a massive hinge point of the maps, dropping over on Landslide at World's Edge, contested, interestingly enough, up against Black Hand. Then when we pop over onto Stormpoint, they're going to be dropping over by the Millage, and that's contested by Riddle. Both of these are really flexible POIs, and surprising to see them contested as they're not that powerful. Gunbar Eotosan are extraordinary. They pulled out Newcastle Watson and succeeded with it on the international stage. With that, combined with how flexible their POIs are, they are going to get a lot done only if they make it out of the early game.
Classic Dia. You know, unfair. I asked you to pick one team. You picked like 2 or 3, but hey, we love your analysis as well. Another person we love the analysis from, Tiff. Talk to me about who is your one to watch for today.
My team to watch for the day is going to be none other than Oxygen Esports, coming from the winners bracket with 7 advanced starting points. This roster consists of the longtime duo of Reeds and Aiden, and they finally found their third, that missing puzzle piece in Vayne. And he's a legend in his own right. Every one of you in the crowd today, if you got here this morning, you would have seen his name on the crowd. You passed by the 2021 ALGs North American Championship. If you'll notice right there, that Kangarna NA roster. Vayne, Onmu, Scurry, well, the last 2 on 100 Thieves competing here as well. But now the team is signed to Oxygen Esports. They've evolved yet again throughout the duration of Split 2. They brought in Coach Psycho, and he has completely innovated the way that these trios work throughout the teams. And now, look, they're wanting to etch their name in the ALGS history books, and can they do it here today?
We will find out. Coach Psycho might have a few riddles for the other teams in terms of some tricks Oxygen could play. Certainly has worked out, and I love the green and black suit, brother. Keep it up. All these teams playing at a very high level. And you mentioned Alliance. We heard the crowd chanting for Alliance. There's some fans up there, and obviously there's some very important people in the booth playing for that squad. Yuki, Hockeys, they have been phenomenal. This is their second time here, but in Split 1 playoffs, they had to play with a sub in Mandy. Popular player, streamer, we love him, but he wasn't that third. They have found him, and he has certainly had a big effect. Let's go to it.
I started watching him, and I got terrified.
A complete demon. It's just someone that you don't want to meet.
If I see him in front of me, I'm generally just afraid of him.
You can kind of feel that the shots are entering in a different way that the normal player.
You feel a little bit of like, oh, hang on a second, it's effects.
He was performing way above everyone else, so I figured if he can do it in ranked, he should be able to do it in comp too.
You have to be extra careful on the way you play your game, because the slightest mistake, your entire team dies.
It seems like all of these teams that are down low are just fodder for Alliance.
It's effect. He is doing what he does best.
Aim assist. No, it's
It's more than that. Of course it's more than that. Like, I think it's his confidence, really. I think that's it. He knows how to exploit what he has and his talent he has, and he also knows how to abuse the mechanics in the game.
Hackett on Newcastle gets the res onto Effect, and now you can see Effect is moving forward. The Terminator of Alliance should close this one out. It's a 1v1, but Effect has all of the armor you could want. He gets back on his feet.
He knows that Yuki has his back, and Hackett is always on top of him as well, and that's when we just dominate every fight we're in.
He's well-rounded. He's good at communication, clutching, firepower, entry fragging, even movement. He's controller.
The trust that Hackett has on him to do that without even like having to tell him like, hey, Effect, do this or do that. Like, he's just on the right.
Because I used to be in that role, and doing that role alongside IGLing, not having to focus too much on it now, just release my shoulders a lot.
He's a very young player, and he does not have that much competitive experience.
He's a young kid, and he kind of brings like fun into the team. Nothing's ever too serious.
But he's also one of the most mature players that I've ever had to deal with. He's so talented, adorable, cute, big weeb. There's nothing to not love about Effect. Like, he's such a nice guy, and in-game, he's just like the devil himself.
He calls when he needs. He gives me information. He even makes calls sometimes, so he couldn't ask for more.
Great shots coming out of Effect now. They push up into this one hallway, just absolutely melting.
Just send him in!
Does he need the other two?
If I think Effect is the best player, the youngest player probably right now, no, I think he's the best player in the world.
He might be the best controller player in the game, in my opinion, from what I've seen.
I think he definitely has the potential to be the best here. Otherwise, I would not have picked him up.
It's players like him. They don't just turn up and not do well. I think he will perform.
He's a natural competitor, and he's excited to be here. So I think he's gonna pop off.
The only thing I have to say is I'm gonna one-click photo.
The crowd is chanting Effect, and I certainly think, Dia, they have good reason to. Not a lot to misconstrue in his statement at the very end.
I will say I've loved Effect's mechanics. I think the thing that I love most about him after watching that video is his trash talk. That was pretty amazing. We saw him hit some tweets earlier on in the tournament as well, talking about how international play might have been a little bit easier than he expected. So I hope that the finals give him a bit of a challenge. But I want to talk on something that Hakis actually mentioned in that video, and it's Effect's ability to control the game using the abilities or mechanics in it. We saw him really exemplify this in the group stage, notably using things like Horizon and her ultimate to draw focus away from him so that he's able to deal damage without having lines of sight to him. This is one of the things that differentiates Effect from almost any other player on the stage right now, is the split-second instincts that he can use with his abilities to change how the gunplay ends up functioning.
Great job and dissecting that. We will see if he is going to one-clip everyone right after this. However, I do want to make sure everyone knows, just as a note, that this is a big deal. We are starting a brand new award at EA. It is an award that is all about championing the power of positive play. The first ever Positive Player Award will be awarded this September. My birthday month, let's go. And we want to hear from you who should be nominated. Nominate a player who you think exudes great teamwork and positivity now at the link on your screen. All right. I know everyone is ready here, but if you're watching at home, we want to give you something a little special. You may not be in the London crowd, but you can still win something. That's right. You might not get a hoodie thrown to you, but we've got Twitch drops ready to go just for watching. And guess what? Even if you haven't caught any of the games up until now, from Thursday on, you can get every single one of these Twitch drops by watching. The R99 Charbroiled skin, the Wraith skin, Fiery Fractals, the Hollow Spray, Radic, which is my favorite, and the Gun Charm Predator. I know that, Tiff, you've had your eyes on these for quite a while.
Why'd you have to comment to me after you said the Predator?
Well, because you're good.
No, know, I mean, like, there's a lot of masters
lied.
out there today in ranked, but, you know, I'm not one of them.
Okay, well,
the,
you know.
The diamond trail is actually more rare.
I was going for the contrast, like the lovely sparkles on the contrast of your outfit.
I get you. Right
Okay. All right, well, we're having fun on the desk, but you know what's more fun? Getting into the best Sunday in esports. That's right. I'm talking about Apex Legends Match Point Finals. I am ready to see who takes control because if you don't win, we go again. Let's get hyped. Let's get ready to kick off our Split 2 playoff Match Point Finals.
Bring her over here. Thank you so much, Rain Day. Welcome, Copper Box Arena. Welcome, London. I'm Vicky Kitty. I'm joined with Gino. And today's the day, finals day for the ALGS Split 2 playoffs. I'm so excited after having such an insane few days of gaming. Apex Legends, I love that game so much, and our players here are looking to perform their best, do their best against every other region. These teams here, Gino, I want to say, is probably the most stacked finals lobby we've ever had in the ALGS.
Exactly what I was just about to say. The best 20 teams in the world, but maybe the best 20 teams that Apex Legends Esports has ever seen. And even with that, Vicky, you know what's a little bit crazy? We actually have a couple of front runners this time, right? I think in previous finals lobbies, it feels like there's been a lot of teams who can walk away with, and certainly that's still the case, but some teams are just a cut above the rest. We're talking about Moist, TSM, Alliance. These teams have looked indomitable throughout this tournament, especially throughout that winner's bracket stage, because that, of course, is going to be the most true reflection of what we might see here on Sunday.
And being finals day means that we're going to be playing in match point format. For those of you guys that don't know what that means unlimited rounds. 50 match points dictates whether that team is going to be sitting in that match point formats. Once they hit that match point eligibility, they're going to be able to have to win to secure that first place spot, that championship spot in the playoffs for today. A lot here as we get started for our first match going onto World's Edge 2, though. This is going to be a swap up from what we're used to, Gino. It's our first 2 games on World's Edge before we swap over to Storm Point for the following 2. Then we're going to be swapping right back over to World's Edge, vice versa, throughout the course of the day until we have that team that reaches that match point win a game afterwards. This is a battle royale at the end of the day. Consistency is everything, and that's why some teams, they could be heavy fraggers, but it's about the dub that matters at the end of the day. Let's get started, everybody. Game number 1 on World's Edge.
The crowd is so pumped here in the Copper Box. They've waited here all weekend. Everyone at home has been waiting for this moment as we drop into World's Edge. Countdown gets the hot zone, and we'll keep our eye to see if we've got any of those contests. Looks like this could be the first one with Blackhand going up against Gabame Oto-san.
Okay. Game number 1. Looks like we're taking a little bit of a break for right now before we get started here. Does highlight, though, and gives away that we are going to have a 50-50 at least start off for our first game on World's Edge. This could swap over before we get into Storm Point. Depends on how the teams are feeling before we change up. Getting a look over at the crowd. By the way, it is a sold-out house.
Topical shirt.
Talk about relevant, though.
Look, so we've definitely got one contest already, right? That much we can say. There was another one we were wondering if we were going to get to see. That was KCP and Pulverex both had put their name down for Tree. But we can see that Pulverex seems to be going towards Fragment East. Fire Beavers, they were hoping to have both Fragment and Monument to themselves. But it looks like they will have to split that now. Here's a look at one of our best teams so far. Moist there had an incredible day yesterday. And one of the most, there were a couple of signs from them, Vicky, that bode really well for them today here in Sunday, right? One of those being MT showing up. Now, you've got to throw out the stats from last tournament, basically, because the man sat on crypto and just played Game Boy all tournament, right? But the fact that he's actually shown up here and putting out some kills, honestly, I think that was one of the things that was potentially keeping them from being a really top-tier contender for the title. So if MT is online, absolutely Moist are in with a chance here today.
And that actually drives me into my second question for you, Gino. The way that this finals lobby is played, once you know, we are back to game, by the way. Just to be transparent with everybody at home, it was a pause before we had to get into this game and resume because there was an issue with one of the headphones, but we are not going to waste any more time now. Gio already getting engaged with this fight and going and swinging with the P2020 and the Mozambique. Sometimes that's all you need here.
Interesting. So we see Amp cover on the high ground here to try and make this contest work for Gumbare.
Having this high ground is going to mean everything here. Even if you just picked up one weapon and immediately needed to contest here for this high ground platform, Blackhand playing off the low ground, the difference is here, you have that Loba, and they are going to try to initiate with Black Market just yet. You want to be able to make sure you have the health advantage here.
It's really hard for Blackhand. They're trying to go up these zips, even with the melee. No light ammo left in the chamber here. Strafing Flame and Bugi. I don't think he's going to be able to do it.
Blackhand, the first squad to go down in this finals lobby.
You can see Blackhand there completely changing up their composition. They've been playing a lot of Wraith, Watson, but no, they have to change characters because they know they've probably got this contest coming with Geo. It feels like Geo didn't change their composition as much. You don't play Crypto and Loba generally if you're going for that early contest, and yet they still come out on top. That's a very impressive fight win here, and you can see the strategies they use with those Amp cover, taking the high ground. Well played to Geo.
You know what that also could mean here, that also means that they're very confident to be in this late game and win this 50-52, because this is a type of composition that you could force into that final circle position once you settle down with the black market, get the loot that you need without having to overextend, settle down with the rampart barriers as well. GL now going to be able to loot the rest of landside as we take a look at where our circle is going to be taking us.
Okay, we've got a hard east shift, and there's one team that's going to be extremely happy about this. We just talked about them, Vicky. It's Moist Esports. We saw the breakdown of the circles over the tournament so far. It had been a lot in the bottom two quadrants, so Moist still making that work. This is going to be so much easier for them. They love a circle that comes to them. They love being in the zone. This is going to work in their favor incredibly, assuming they've got the beacon.
You know what I also love, Gino? I also love to see some of these northern-like circles in World's Edge. We've had so many over moving to the south of World's Edge that I like a little bit of flexibility here. Pulverex have also not wasted any time to make their way in Overlook. This is another type of squad that has looked to change a little bit of their composition, moving in from World's Edge into Stormpoint, but they're also looking to get the information that they can with the Crypto Dome, seeing which other squads may be within this area, as FaZe also making their way into Overlook.
Moist obviously now, so they did get the ring console by the way, so that's why you can see them set up on the silo, obviously one of the best positions you can have. Other teams are starting to pile in though. Dark Zero, FC Destroy, Optic, TSM, Fire Beavers. It's one of those rings where you really do want to get in one of those buildings, maybe a position down the back where Moist is. It can be quite hard to weed your way into the circle afterwards because there really are a lot of strong positions in Overlook to hold early on.
And one of them, aside from the fact that Moist is holding the spot, you talk about 50-50 rotations depending on where the circle of Overlook may be pulling. We've seen the circle end up on the crates over to the side of Moist. You can see that they're looking behind them, and just in case there's any cheeky rotations that we may be seeing with either a Skyward Dive or an evac tower, we're going to have to see. I know at one point you used to be able to wrap around the rock, leaving Big Mod with a Valkyrie Skyward Dive off the height, but just looking to their backs just in case. But they could also rotate through the choke point over to the side, depending on where that circle is going to be pulling. And there would have to deal with squads like Optic Gaming, who have a crafter, which is so important to know. At the moment, you have to worry about the shotgun bolt, the double tap trigger. Soon, though, if it hasn't changed already, the weekly rotation will introduce the mobile respawn beacon, which is going to be huge for some of these teams.
Yeah, it could even just depend on how long today's games go for, Vicky. But yeah, as you pointed out there's probably not going to be a huge amount of those attachments getting pulled out. Pros tend to shy away from the double tap, even if they do prefer that scout. They like the single shot. And shotguns at the moment really just not that much in the meta, right? So.
Oh no, post kill. Gotta land. Look at him. He's shimmer-shedding his way left and right. Dancing right through those bullets. Pinging them is going to be KCP on the floor, and with the skull piercer on that 30-30. Talking about that damage. They're also going to be able to secure this building right here in No Name. Just looking at the squads that are going to be able to rotate away from Fragment East. Oxygen, Gambare as Ascend by the same crates that I was looking at before. going in for an early rotate that may actually cost the post kill as we say goodbye to Ascend as our second squad to exit out of his first game lobby in 19th.
Ascend have to rotate up from the dome. It's really hard for them. It's not particularly a POI the teams want to find themselves on because, sure, you can loot it quickly and try and make your way towards some of those zones, but as you can see, it's risky when you get in. And look, as many Matrix moves as you might want to make, it's not enough to keep Ascend alive.
And to fall at the hands of TSM. So many fans in the crowd cheering for TSM, looking for another dub, another trophy under their belts. So much pressure here for this team, but they are feeling so confident going into this.
So TSM, they're quite split right now, actually. There's two going up. We've got Verhulst. You can see actually just using a Dark Veil on nice and early, 2-minute cooldown on that, no worries at all for him. Worth it to grab some loot here. While the other member actually all the way back in the tunnel coming from Geyser. So they need to make sure they don't get split apart and hopefully no one's going to creep up on them, anything like that. But I like that position they're playing because it does lend themselves, one, to if a circle goes to the back of Overlook, but sometimes it does pull right in front of the tunnel doors in that open area.
Yeah, and it also gives them enough information to see if any teams do rotate through that tunnel, which we already mentioned, and saw Optic Gaming using the Crafter over by Geyser.
Ooh.
And if we could see where this next circle is going to be pulling, Genome, you just talked about this right here, depending on the positioning of TSM. And, they also have the natural cover, aside from the crates, of the rock side here in that foundation, so they could deal with that as LG playing more outside the circle to get information of where that next ring is going to be.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a little bit north of where Optic are right now. But teams who are in the Ghost Town area, no name, you guys might know by, I don't think they're going to be. It's actually a hard one to call. I would expect it more to go towards TSM and that tunnel rotation we were talking about just then. But maybe some of the teams in Ghost Town will be okay for another ring or two.
But it also trickles down to how risky it could be sometimes to go for some of these early rotates, depending on how many teams and their positioning. If they settle down in Overlook very early, they can also find you in a sandwich that you don't want to be in. The squad's rotating away from Fragment East, the squad's rotating from the north side of Overlook. There is a ring console in Overlook. You mentioned it earlier when Moist landed in their POI when they got that set of information. So many other teams with this rotate looking at Riddle Order, trying to go for a scout, see which of these teams may be found. Here we saw the Nemesis over to the side too.
Okay, Riddle Order, the most northerly of the teams right now. They're on top of Fire Beavers, obviously a team who has looked for many, many fights throughout this tournament. And they'll probably happy to be seeing that ring continue south as they try and follow some teams in and grief them on the way down.
One of our APAC North squads, and after what happened with APAC North losing their spot last LAN, they're coming back for blood. They've been going huge here. I got to run into them earlier on, and they were so nice. Yukio with the style and the sunglasses, now looking at this fight with Moist Esports.
Okay, so one of the advantages Moist had of the position they took up in Overlook was that they did have control of that ring console. It means they get ring 3 information. Very important. They then use the evac tower to come back now into No Name. We've seen that. They got CS scanned on the way in, but they have just managed to get a prime position in one of these buildings.
EMP coming in over on the other side onto FC. Playing split up by some of the squads that are already in Overlook that may have not gotten that information prior, like Moist did, and then the Ghost Town that you mentioned before that Moist have already made their rotation to. The scary part is rotating away from No Name into, if the circle does pull more so towards the tunnel, could leave you out in the open and would benefit teams like TSM that just have to clear the east side of the edge of that circle. Talking about the squads that are still in Overlook. That's a really good position for them to be in because they also won't be in a bad spot because they'll have the slight high ground that is provided there in that natural land.
Yeah, well, the other thing about TSM's position is I was talking about how it had access to that circle and then the back Overlook circle. If they can win their way through the tunnel, they can also make it into Ghost Town. So that one's a little bit harder, but, they're not exposed that much as they push through there. It just depends if we've got, any other caustics that can block them on the way. I believe there's only one in the lobby right now. That will be Yuki from Alliance.
Yuki loves caustic. Just an insane cost take too in general. And it benefits amazingly on World's Edge for a lot of these final circles too, especially actually talking about Alliance right now. Looking at their position, playing by the bins here is to take a much more edge approach. Also looking to see if any squads are going to be rotating away from Lava Siphon. But I believe most of the teams right now have already rotated by Geyser, close to the north side of the map already too, closer to Overlook and Fragment. Teams like Exit that like to play on the edge too are going to be one of the squads late rotating away from Fragment.
I mean, this has already been a very tight lobby, hasn't it, Vicky? I mean, we've seen two teams go down, sure, but they were pretty safe picks, honestly, for the teams who were going at them. No one's really taken any particularly risky fights just yet. That will happen next circle. There isn't enough room, really, for 18 teams now.
Looking in the distance, Exit already have information at the squad that may have height over here on the other side of Epi. While Exit does do this, though, I'm not expecting them to go for any heavy engagements. The circle going to be closing in a minute and less than 50 seconds at this moment. Looking great in terms of loop, but that's what happens when you play outside the circle, take your time in the ring, then you make this rotate over here. But while they are also making this noise, they're letting the squads that have already the building in no name to look at the train tracks, maybe look at where these other teams are going to be approaching from that slight low ground, close to where the respawn beacon is in the ghost town.
And Ghost Town is where it looks like this next circle has pulled. It's gone very central. A lot of it was over that sort of Vault Mountain pass, and thus it's gone north of there to lock in, say, Optic, TSM, Pioneers, Moist, Dark Zero even.
Well, we see this fight. Pulverex already in a lot of trouble. Look who has secured this building in Ghost Town. It's going to be Dark Zero.
Oh, okay, Zero. Realizes he can't play that position. He's got Pulverex under them. You do see teams often coexist in this space, but I've got to say, especially with Catalyst in the meta, those positions under there are terrible. You will constantly be having piercing spikes just getting thrown at you. You're going to waste ammo to deal with them. You can see, actually, it looks like they're just going to full send them right now.
Yeah, just dropping down already. You saw the black hole put down already by Zero, but they lose out on Zainu, which I'm surprised he was the first to drop. He had the white Evil Shield there. That's going to benefit Pulverex and even out this fight because they also lost one of the teammates. But the gravity lift immediately as Zainu is going to be able to put down there means that they could go for a potential reset with the Catalyst helping them out. Riddle Order also in a fight. Fnatic getting eliminated in your feeds currently. 17 squads here. BX is going to try to be able to contest with 2 knocks already there. Easy cleanup for Riddle Order as Fire Weavers are your 17 squads to get eliminated. F-Chan fighting for his actual life. His back is to TSM and Dark Zero have the front here. They're able to clean him up and Zainu now has extra loot to deal with.
Oh, I mean, that was a little bit risky there by Dark Zero, but they have calculated it well. They clear out from them, the Pulverex from underneath themselves, as well as you say, getting that extra loot. But it also means that their space is they've got a little less to contend with. If they have to push out of there, having a team under you can be terrible, and you can't always rely on other teams to clear out those positions.
What's worrisome here, TSM have been holding this position from the very beginning, and they see that the circle is shifting away. You mentioned the split positioning from this squad, but the moment that circle pulls away from them, it's going to be tricky. They're looking to engage in a fight that's already happening in front of them. It's against FaZe as Frex falls incredibly low. The catwall maybe giving them some time to reset. Deleting the black hole here. Frex is in trouble still, and so is Sniped out. Literally one shot as Ponyhead tries to run away.
Oh, Riddle Order, 100 Thieves on the back of this as well. TSM looking to maybe do a little bit of griefing. Riddle, they won that first fight against Fire Beavers.
Oh, Yukio with the wingman shots here. Riddle Order still in trouble. Only one tappy left on the Bloodhound, having to avoid the Arcstar hip fire shots with the Prowler. But look to your 6. It's another team. Can he go for the shield drop? It looks like it was already empty. He tries to get away, and Luke is getting involved. It is TSM getting the knock onto Yukio. We're looking to get involved in this fight from the very beginning, and the Catalyst Wall has allowed them to delete this line of sight from the squads in the Ghost Town. Riddle Order now get taken out.
A fantastic 3 points there from TSM, barely even committing. Only just now have all 3 members got back together the entire time. Didn't get vision of which one it was, but one of them really holding down that tunnel because they do want to secure that route back to the tunnels for themselves. So many teams eliminated up the top there. Dark Zero even managing to snag one of those kills away. Dark Zero himself very good at range with the Nemesis.
And safely instead of that building too, but the circle is pulling away from that eventually into the Ghost Town area where KCP have been settled down from the very beginning. You mentioned TSM maybe looking for the rotational approach through the tunnel, but guess who else is there? Optic Gaming from the beginning. So has LG, as they are going to be rotating from the south side of the map, have also had to deal with Optic Gaming. If LG isn't careful, yes, they can be on the brink of the circle, but they could also get sandwiched by TSM if they end up committing to rotating from the tunnel.
Ooh, is this actually going to be a commitment here from Alliance and Exit? I would have thought they'd get out of each other's way, but Alliance one flood and two of Exit are already on the ground.
Exit on the ground and back to the lobby. Alliance with the crowd cheering right behind them, giving them their energy. We saw the legend of Fex coming out to his first land with confidence. Oxygen approaching from the slight high ground hilltop, close to the choke point that exits out of Geyser. They have a nice rotation because this is where the next circle is going to be pushing.
Alliance always late to the party, but they make a splash when they get there, don't they? Exit have been struggling earlier on in the tournament. We thought maybe they turn their fortunes around. Game 1 doesn't lend that any hope for them, but no teams anywhere near 50 points yet, Vicky, so still plenty of time for the split 2 winners from NA to come back into this. Now, as we get a look, that is essentially where the ring will end up. Any long-time APAC South fans might remember a classic moment from here, actually, where we had Team Great, a last chance qualifier team who won the championship in that very position.
So epic to be able to recall moments like this and remember these teams who have put in so much. We're talking about Guild, though, now. NRG in some trouble. Nathan being able to pop the finish again. Lucas trying to fully send it. It's going to be Dark Zero. Dancing around, fully trying to send it here. Zainu gets taken out, but so does NRG. Dark Zero with the approach and the gold knockdown shield to get the res with some extra help.
Oh, and Jin Burton, he's clutched up so many times this tournament. He's really back into peak form. You love to see it. LG, they are way down in the tunnels right now. TSM have not decided to go this way through. They cleared out so much space with all of those teams dying up towards Overlook just now that TSM are able to come down from the east. So LG, they'll have to get through Optic, who are currently at the mouth of those tunnels.
This is so difficult here. They do have the catalyst, but it's about how they approach this, because once they use so much of this utility, then you have to deal with Oxygen Esports on the outside. Look at the cat wall now going up. The black wall on top of that, sending everything that they got just in case through that doorway. But look who's looking to try to sandwich up the gaming. Oxygen Esports looking to get involved in this fight. They already get a knock at the Skittle Cake.
Optic just really let themselves be a little bit too passive there. LG takes the more proactive approach, and all of a sudden Optic is out and gone from this first game. Place.
Right now, LG is going to be going up in stocks, playing off the bunker doors here. You see the piercing spikes put down in front of them. That's going to be TSM looking for the opportunity to contest LG. They already get the first stock right here. Oxygen now playing a lot more passive, putting themselves in a risky situation. They're not going to get involved here, but TSM versus LG will.
Nice defensive gravity lift there, I believe. That's blocking TSM out from going in, but he doesn't need it. Verhulst has got way too much damage on the Prowler.
Welcome, Big E, coming out here doing Big E things. Let's jump into it, listening with TSM after Effect gets the knock onto reps.
I'm safe right here. Maybe not. Can you connect to you though? Maybe, yes. Maybe later on. When they're, you gotta shoot them. For him. You gotta cue me and you shoot him. You have to shoot them. You can give me. Gold res. Who has gold res? I got it. We need to. Is there a guy inside, Evan? Is there not a guy? I don't know. Solo inside. It's a solo. I'm gonna scan. I need an open for wall. Actually, nobody inside right now. Look at scan. I'm healing up. Yeah, we need to go outside and heal up. Swing inside. Yep. There's 3 bats here if you need. I need nades. I got gold knock. I'm healing outside right now. We need to look for ulting cells inside so we can get wall back. Put cues on this doorway over here, Evan. Yeah. Someone's up. Close doorway. Off the bat. Are you good? Yeah. I'm only on my side right now. We have digis. Use the digis. I'm looking. I got Craver from the rooftop. Okay. They have a Craver on the rooftop on the right building. I think we need to play for the kills on the rock out here. We play so we can win this game. We can win this game here. Okay. Yep. Okay. You want to walk out right side? Yeah, we're gonna play on the front and shoot the team on the roof. Okay. They're right here. Can we all peek this? One sec. Yeah. The solo's on the roof. He's giving out. Crack the catalyst. Horizon has the Kramer. 74 on Sears. 74. Crack Sears. One dead. Sit on 2. Nice.
Group is still cover, I don't think. No, they do
Who has
cover.
the Kraber? Was that them?
That was them, yes, that was them.
Okay. The team's still inside. I think
Howdy,
there's a team on the left rock
frags.
still. There's a team on the left rock still.
What happened? I have 3 frags, you need?
Inside, jumping down. Shoot front. You're gonna count one straight across here, I think, Graves.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk to the left and do it, I think. And then wall to the right.
Straight across here, I think. Okay?
Yep.
Look at scan.
There's a team right on our left, like really close to us.
Playing the right side of our wall. Look at kills. They're diving them. Shoot the guy on the right. Rising cracked. I cracked three. Nade that. I'm popping one. Horizon on the right. Still on the right. Catwall.
Yep, all in.
We should look for the kills on the right.
We're in bagel.
We're safe on me. Left side. Oh, he went down.
I'm peeking the left.
There's a soul on me. Where is that?
Resident's up here. I killed a resident. I killed one already. It's 32. On the right. He's down on the right.
They have caustic.
He's down on the right.
2 to 10.
Our walls are good. We're gonna have no cover. Let me bet they ate this maybe.
Should we pick right? Should we swing right?
Swing right.
Left. In this. Everybody.
Oak one.
TSM take game number 1. They stand up, they pop off, the crowd goes wild. Biggie doing it for Samantha. Cal with the great comms, the Kraber on the roof, Dr. Zero getting taken out. Amazing catwall to secure that dub on top of it, at least when it comes to the rotation. Alliance on the other side to be fallen in second place, but it was a 12 KP game, Genome. What a way to open up today's finals lobby.
I think it was actually a 15 KP game. There was a 12 just between Verhulst and Hal. Reps chiming in with 3 as well. I mean, yeah, look, honestly, give some props to Raven for that one. The plan throughout that entire game was phenomenal. The macro on display there, as we talked about, that spot they picked, it had so many options. Didn't matter where the circle was going to go, TSM were going to be in a good spot to move out from there. But then the patience, they didn't go too deep, even though there was so many fights there. Really, they could have picked and taken on the north side. They just went for a few KP. They go through the tunnels, and unlike the other teams in there who hadn't cleared out their back, TSM did exactly that, and then it was the easiest spot to play from there. But still, a hard 3v3 to finish on and beat Alliance.
What was also a very big blessing there was the fight that was going down in the tunnels between LG, Optic, and what we saw from Oxygen that caused an Oxygen to play as a solo. Looking back at the final circle, we heard the comms firsthand between Hal, Verhulst. You saw the information being scanned by reps, but the tracking was insane. You heard them try to shoot down the horizon, literally won in that moment, but pushing this very slowly allowed them to get out of the action once the exhibit was called in from the other team.
Yeah, so they'd already taken down Dark Zero by this point. Moist also were in a tough spot. You saw all of them on the Seer scan. Now they put up the Dark Veil. Honestly, I was wondering if this was just a little bit too early. Obviously, it does split the fight, and now Alliance have to deal with KCP on the other side. They help them out of it, making sure to stay back, to stay south near that rock, so they're not challenging Alliance at the same time, and they can take these as essentially separate 3v3s. Now that KCP is finished off, they wait for the wall to go down. It has lasted long enough, and you can see Alliance that is shoved into this corner here. Once that rock is out of play, it's too easy for TSM.
You're only playing behind the little arm of the tree at this point. Verhulst, we have to highlight this legend. Looking at the amount of kills that this entire team put down, reps with the 3 kills like you were talking about before, Genome, playing a lot more passively. Hal coming in with the 6 KP, over 2k damage between him and Verhulst.
Yeah, so that's making me think that Reps was the one staying in the tunnel, right? Because you remember we were talking about, we didn't quite see it on screen, but there were 2 all the way up in those fights while Reps was holding it down, which is interesting because they had talked about role changes within the team coming into this tournament, talking about how Verhulst was going to be playing more of an anchor role. Doesn't seem to be how it's played out here.
It makes sense with him being on the Seer, though, because he gets the information on the heartbeat sensor of which squads are rotating through that tunnel side. It's enough information for them to look at the squads rotating from Overlook and to see the squads that are rotating from the south side that they would have to worry about. A 15-kill dub for the first game going in favor of TSM. Alliance coming in second place with 7 KP. We saw Effect putting in the damage before he was taken down by Verhulst himself. KCP calling out the circle great inside of that building. Even Nasky at the very end getting a double with the nade.
I'm not going to lie, Vicky. I'm feeling a short day. I'm looking
Can
at
this
this.
be it?
Okay, we've got teams with seeding points as well. Remember, TSM, Alliance, Moist, Dark Zero, all with some seeding points and all picking up a bunch more here in game one. I mean, 27 on top of the 9 they already had. But TSM is just storming towards that match point and eligibility.
The script writes itself. You know, the fans were talking to us before. They wanted to see TSM win a lot. We're talking about Alliance looking on the second page here. Gambare not having the greatest game, but still securing 3 KP. Riddle Order 2 rotating away from Climatizer area into Overlook as we get to see the fans in the crowd wave their signs. The CEO. That's a great picture. It's one of my favorite ones as we take a look at the series results after just that first game and adding on to the points that some of these teams are starting with. You mentioned it, Genome. TSM starts with 9 points for today. On top of what they made for that first game, they're securing already 36 points out of the 50 that they need to already sit on match point.
Yeah, so the top 3 teams on the group stage are currently the top 3 teams in our finals here. Moist started with 10, Alliance with 8, and TSM with 9. That's why their point totals are so high after this. On top, of course, of the couple of points they picked up there. Wow, that was... I mean... We talked about it at the start. I said there are a couple of teams who are just running away with this. That despite the incredible display of talent we're seeing here on this stage, Vicky, that are just looking better than the rest.
And we absolutely take those. And after that first game, deciding how the rest of this day is going to go, I'm so excited, Genome. That was just our first game on World's Edge. We still have one more game to go on World's Edge before we swap over to Storm Point. That's coming to you on the other side of this break.
Energy, the official energy drink of the Apex Legends Global Series.
WD Black, the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back to London, everybody. Welcome to the Copper Box Arena. And what a start to our match point finals we have just had. A team who's pretty comfortable in this setting, having picked up a trophy the last time they were here. TSM get off to the hottest of starts.
An unbelievable start to the day here on Sunday. I was going to come up here and start talking about, well, you know, TSM, their win rates aren't that great on World's Edge, and then they go and blow us all out of the water. An amazing start, and I tell you what, they're on their way to match point already, our TSM.
They certainly have. I'm sure that everybody who's on the stage is wondering what TSM had for breakfast, because boy, do they look ready, do they look locked in and prepared to march towards another championship. But only game one done, of course. It's time for us to head into the second match of our match point finals. We're staying on World's Edge here, everybody, and the dropship is ready.
Of course, we did see a contest in map number one. It was Geo versus Hand, and Ganbari Otazan were able to get the upper hand against Black Hand. Will they be able to get any revenge here, or are we going to see, maybe, just maybe, the same thing happen yet again? With it being the only contest, it means everyone else gets to loot freely. Of course, we had an Eastern Zone in match number one. We'll have to see where it pulls this tape.
Just as the teams take a little second to hit their drop spots, it gives us a second to just praise Danny Verhulst. My goodness, what a performance he had in that game one, especially in the end game, not missing a bullet, which led TSM to that win. But here is that contest you were talking about, Dan. Already some shots being fired.
And it's such an influential contest as well, because it holds a central area in the map as already Geo the upper hand here, but straight up the zip line and straight into his face.
Gonna be 2 dead here for Black Hand already, and this is looking like it's going to be 2-0 in the final result of this contest. For now, just one player trying to escape, and it looks like Yuzna is going to be able to chase him down. Should be able to get the damage done for them to convert upon a clean wipe, and it's looking like landslide. It's going to be Geo's once more.
Geo will win it yet again, and that means they can now just calmly loot up as we get to see where the circle is going to be heading. We're going north, which is great news for all of the World's Edge fans who have seen so many southern zones throughout this tournament. Survey Camp is going to be around where we're finishing here for match number 2. So Riddle Order in the prime position to move in and set up camp. 100 Thieves exit, a nice quick rotation from them, from Skyhook, and of course FaZe over at Climatizer will be easy for them as well.
So for now, it's just the looting part. You can see that's the only contest that we do have, like you quite rightly said, and I'm sure that everyone who's watching is aware of as well. This is going to be a tough zone for TSM to get to after their hot start. But Fire Beavers, they're going to have good access. They're going to have prior. Riddle Order, like you mentioned, going to have prior as well. And we know those back rocks, it's pretty much the area you want to hold, overlooking a lot of Survey Camp. That extreme height differential that you can get from holding there is such a difference maker towards the end game.
I think one of the most impressive things from match 1 with TSM was how well they held that choke for so long throughout the game, but a very different approach now going into match number 2. Now for NRG, of course, only 5 points at the moment, quite a way behind TSM, but of course we know what they're capable of on Sunday.
This is really interesting actually. The contest that went down may have just thrown the timing of this rotate for NRG off. They may have been expecting a team to have already left from landslide, but instead Geo are putting some shots into their back. It looked like NRG managed to avoid that, but that's another kind of thing that happens right on contests. It's not only your own rotational timing that gets thrown off, you could throw other teams off too.
It's something NRG will be aware of, and also keeping their ear to the ground just in case that fight's still going on when they're making their rotation, so they could third party if they want. Now TSM have already made their way north, and again it's going to be an evac tower to keep on going up towards the area of Survey Camp, or they could try and set up a little bit south of Survey Camp if they feel like it is going to pull a little bit, because it still could shift east, and maybe that's what TSM are trying to predict here.
2 balloons going to be used by TSM on this rotate. One over at Lava Siphon, the other one carried in the back pocket, in the backpack of one of the players, as we see also FC Destroy approaching the bridge as well. So TSM have the timing on them, and they're going to get control of that little building just up on the height. So TSM, I imagine that's where they'll look to play from for quite some time. Dark Zero heading right in towards zone, but FC Destroy not too far away from TSM here.
And when it comes to mentality, when you are a competitor in this final, you've just seen TSM do that. The fact they started on 9 points already, you know TSM are within touching distance of match point. You've got to make sure that you set the record straight in match number 2. You make sure you're the one who can put destiny in your own hands and get a victory on the board so you can get closer. Because I tell you what, I would not be surprised if TSM are up there after it could be match 2, if not match 3 here.
Very, very interesting to see how that dynamic of what was a monster game 1 from TSM changes things, like you say, for everyone else in this. Except though, been a bit of a shaky tournament, but they are here. And that's the most important thing to remember. But at the moment, They're under some duress. It's Moist Esports, the Aussies, who are underneath them, and I say that black hole didn't look too good coming down from height.
Remember, Moist did start on 10 points coming into today after their incredible performance in that winners bracket. We'll have to see whether they can just hold off Exet here. It was a pretty poor black hole that might have just allowed Moist to stay alive, but one goes down. And this could open things up for Exet to try and finish off the pieces.
Trying to finish it off, but also look at the kill feed. Oxygen are getting involved in this, and it's looking like really bad news here for Moist Esports. The shots being fired, they're kind of pinched between two teams. And speaking of fights going down, you can see Fnatic, they're involved in one at the moment, and they've just won it over Geo.
Yeah, Geo eliminated, and that's great news for Fnatic. There's a lot of extra loot that they can pick up now on their rotation, and they can actually hold this train track for quite some time, and maybe be able to pick up a lot of teams that are going to try and rotate through the northern way after they come from that southern tip. But it will be a real decision from them as to whether they fancy just going for those kills, playing a little bit more edge, or if they want to push more central in towards Survey Camp. But at the moment, Skyhook, there is just a lot of teams who are posturing up against one another.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bottleneck at the moment over at Skyhook, and 100 Thieves, Exet, Oxygen, all trying to find their way through. Moist Esports have been eliminated, as you can see in the feed, but Oxygen now starting to chip away at Exet. Reeds is going to be the man to get that opening knock, and that is the knock that they wanted. That is the knock that they needed. Now they can close the gap and try and pressurize even more.
Didn't move quick enough to actually re-engage in the fight, though. You can see there with the silhouettes, the res came through, and Oxygen know full well they have been too slow. They have to move back out, and they don't want to be pushing on this. In the grand finals, you can't afford to just have a lackluster push. It has to be a full commit. You can't be wishy-washy with it. Instead, everyone together. I think that's a sensible decision from Oxygen, who currently are in 4th place, 15 points. Just as to set the kind of standard here, they are 20 points behind TSM at the moment.
Certainly a dark horse for this tournament. They have been, I would say, one of the most impressive teams that have not been talked about enough in the build-up to this tournament, and certainly what they've done over the last 3 days to get to this finals is something they will be happy with. But getting this close, Dan, as you know, it's great to get to the finals. That's mission 1, right? But then you've got a chance of winning it, and Oxygen may be thinking that. Fnatic, though, they're on a slightly different path right now, going down south.
I think for Oxygen, as long as they can get into that final circle, I mean, I'd always back them with how well they've been fighting. The decision-making has been excellent every single time they get into those 3v3 engagements and also the final circles. The wins speak for themselves. They've been able to find throughout this weekend. You could say the same for Fnatic, who have also had several victories on their side, a couple of them coming on World's Edge, so they will feel comfortable here on this map. But remember, if we were to see TSM get onto match point here in match 2, we do switch over to Storm Point for match 3, and suddenly that opens up a whole new dynamic for a lot of these squads who maybe were performing better on that map.
Back over to Survey Camp, you can see Ascend. They're fighting against Dark Zero right now. They did lose one. It's going to be red for Dark Zero. They're not going to let them get away with that. Ascend destroyed, dismantled by Dark Zero here. That's going to be their side of Survey Camp. They do not want to let anyone enter.
And it was an early exit for Dark Zero in match number 1, but 17 points at the moment. In 3rd place, and we know what Dark Zero are capable of. They've won championships, they've lifted trophies, and they want to do it again. When it comes to match point, Dark Zero are the match point specialists. They just seem to know how to get it done. Whether it's composure, whether it's getting to match point fast, whether it's not falling to the pressure when you are there on match point, Dark Zero just seem to have the perfect recipe as a squad.
Something to note as well from our game 1, just while we had a little lull in the action here. TSM, yes, 36 points is where they stand at the moment. They're not too far off of 50 where match point is. But just in behind them, involved in that end game, was Alliance as well. They have 24 points. So it's not just TSM who might be able to jump on a match point in this next game. Alliance will need a big game, don't get me wrong, but they're very capable of reaching it right now.
They are capable of it. I mean, they've not really had massive games as close to what TSM were able to achieve, but we've seen it throughout online season. It's definitely achievable for them. For TSM, they only need 14 points to get to match point, so even if they were to finish kind of top 5 with a good amount of kills, still very achievable for them as well. But we've seen so many times when teams are starting to get closer to match point that they fall out in the early stages. But good news for TSM is they have been able to post up nice and early. So here's Alliance, where you were talking about, the only caustic in the lobby at the moment, and it really could make a difference in those final circles.
Fnatic and Alliance both in trouble at the moment. Initially, it was Alliance firing into the back of Fnatic, and Dark Zero trying to hold everybody out of Survey Camp once again. Zaidi wants to finish them off here. He wants to push WQ wants to pressure, and Dark Zero are doing everything they can at the moment to control not just the building, but the entirety of Survey Camp.
Yeah, Dark Zero just trying to spread themselves out here at Survey Camp and trying to eliminate any other team from getting in and taking those spots off of them. Sensible decision, though, to back off ever so slightly. You don't want to push and get too aggressive and lose one player and then allow a third party to happen, so they need to do this tactically.
They're trying to fly in, and oh my goodness, 186 is pretty good. 30 even better. It's Fnatic eliminated. Dark Zero keep everyone on their feet. They get the armor swaps and find yet another victim here inside a Survey Camp.
You can see how they were planning it. They wanted to make sure they could get in, get out, and make sure those shield swaps would happen, and it just meant that no other team could even possibly push them here. Fire Beavers are close, though, and we know what Fire Beavers are like. They like to hold down that W key, they like to get aggressive, but they also need to be careful and aware of what could happen if they expose themselves from the west.
Yeah, a little bit of a scary moment there for Dark Zero. Like you say, Fire Beavers putting some good damage in as they tried to cross back. But the good news for Dark Zero, nobody went down. That signal wasn't given, like it was for Dark Zero or Fnatic a few moments ago, that we can close that ground and we can push and clear them out. For now, though, elsewhere on the map, we're going over towards Climatizer at the moment. This is Optic Gaming on our screens, but right next to them, a couple of other teams as well. FC Destroy and Pioneers very, very close here. And Skillcase decided maybe there's too many teams to make him feel comfortable.
They are going to be forced together. Pioneers are also in the area, and now Optic Gaming just need to make sure they try and group up. They're so scattered at the moment.
Skillcase has gone down, and now it's dropped and knocked. Who have to try and salvage something here. KCP do hold, they get that first knock, but FC Destroy also here as well. The zone closing behind them, but they will be safe in this little corner.
And we've seen what FC Destroy could do with this composition on this map, as Zayn is just going to escape, rat out, and try and stay alive here as FC Destroy have made their fortress once more. All these teams at Climatizer will eventually have to move in towards Survey Camp. It's TSM that are waiting for them, gatekeeping them, but FC Destroy do have the ability just to make sure they stay alive right now.
FC Destroy with this walking fortress of a composition. And we saw how effective it can be if they can get into a good spot in zone yesterday, but also walking forward as a fortress, a pretty good thing to do as well. So difficult to push, but Optic, they've lost one. Skillcake is down at the moment, and like I mentioned, looks pretty unlikely they're going to be able to get that banner as well.
And I think teams like FC Destroy are going to be delighted that we don't have the Digi-Threat in the Crafter today, because playing Bang, they can get those smokes down. You can then traverse across the map and just avoid all that fire without having to worry about Digi-Threats too much. Now, of course, Digi-Threats still exist. They can still happen, but it's not going to be as prominent in these lobbies. Now it's out of the Crafter. So 15 squads remain. 100 Thieves, another squad who exited very early in match number 1, are just holding this western side. If they do decide to push through these train tracks, it's Alliance who are waiting for them.
Alliance in her eyes right now, and as they try and hold off the push coming in from 100 Thieves, it's a perfect time to jump into a listening with Alliance.
If they push, they get pinched. We just stole it.
Yep.
Coste cold.
Kommissars.
Tony Waki.
They have to come this side.
Cat good. I'm just holding my queue.
Yeah, we might get it from here.
They're leaving now, they're leaving.
You don't need to hold it here, you need to just ADS, they're gonna hear it as well.
Yeah, I'm just holding my queue, making them scared.
You can ADS as well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know, but I'd rather queue in case they push, you know, it's better to counter queue. Like, if they queue me, I'm just gonna queue instantly back, okay? Basically.
That team has to come and fight us, right? Or go around. They can't really... Unless the evac from here.
It's a Catalyst Horizon team, I think. I don't know what the third is.
It is.
They have the evac over, otherwise they come fight us.
That's fine. That's what we want. We just don't want the A-Pulse.
This team should have left by now as well.
Yeah, they're playing north side.
Bangalore team here.
They're leaving. They're coming your side. Careful. Keep yourself up. Nobody close on my skin.
I'm gonna put 2 more barrels on this side.
Listen, there's a duo here, Horizon and Bangalore, and Sirius holding back there.
Yeah.
On Grandmas.
Give you 1 barrel here.
Just make sure we kill the team on the right. We need to take that spot. If they slide down, they need to die. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Just don't die for it. We just pinch.
Shall we hit this way?
Yeah, that's about right. Don't let them in that nice spot. We're gonna have to save our APC for that spot, by the way.
It's fine. We're just walking late.
Alliance making sure that they keep track of everything that's going on around them at the moment. You heard from the comms, they were waiting for the decision from 100 Thieves. Are they going to evac tower? That's the only way to get around them. But now you're seeing a push of what could be a very good position to hold. Riddle Order versus NRG, and Riddle Order are taking them apart here.
Oh my goodness gracious, first goes down. Can they follow up? NRG down like flies as Riddle Order assert their dominance and continue their fine form. Elsewhere, Exet versus LG. They've already lost one, but they've traded it out. LG now lost two.
Exet looking like they're on top of this. 100 Thieves have fallen in the meantime. Fire Beavers involved in that. As Nocturnal sends in the Rolling Thunder. But look at LG. They're trying to make this one a little bit mixy, a little bit dicey. As Vanish re-nods, but look at the damage coming in now from Nocturnal on that ultimate. Yanya left on his own. It's a 1v2, but if anyone could do it, Yanya can.
It's a 1v2, but there's a lot of noise that's being made as LG Chivas do get eliminated. Exet stay on top. Where's the third party, though? Is anyone going to be in the area? Yes! Alliance are there. Effect gets the knock, and Exet can't take a break. They can't manage to get the shield swap. And now, will Alliance try and press up on this?
Yeah, that's the question, right? Can they push on it? They've got other teams in the vicinity, and also they have to come over that ridge, which is going to expose them. But I mean, who cares if you're Effect? He takes to the sky. He sends XX Scarper in. He wants more kills.
And Exet is going to run past the one rat you saw on Oxygen. He was just hiding. He was trying to survive. He might get caught out because of this. But I love the aggression from Alliance. You can see the confidence in this squad.
And they have found that rat. Yes, they have indeed. Another kill goes down. Alliance will get all of this loot to play with, and to be fair, Exet managed to just about escape from that situation. However, elsewhere on the map, TSM are also overlooking this fight. Exet at the moment down to 2, but Sykes is going to be able to get fun back up here.
TSM, by the way, are now up to 41 points with where they currently stand and the kills they've been able to get in this game. They are 9 points away from match point in match number 2 here at the grand finals of the Split 2 playoffs. That is unbelievable. To put that into context, if they were to get into the top 5 here with a couple of more kills, that would be match point. And the position they currently hold is very strong because all of these teams like Exet, Alliance, Dark Zero and Fire Beavers have all got to push uphill. TSM are going to be able to rain down hell on all of them.
Evac Tower's down. Here come Alliance now. This could be a fight for the ages because they're trying to approach on TSM. They're going to have to play under them for now. We've been talking about Verhulst. We've been talking about Effect. Well, this battle could be massive for the context of not just that little story, but where this tournament heads.
TSM are right above them, and they are grouping as well, as Alliance now are getting a little bit of grief from Dark Zero getting involved, but all the meanwhile, TSM can just look down from above here, and they start to get involved.
The black hole comes down, but that just invites Dark Zero to come and have a piece of this. Alliance, all of a sudden, find themselves in a little bit of a shambles. TSM don't let this opportunity slip. They slide in, they get a couple of kills. Exit out in the meantime. Verhulst has got to be careful, though. He's gone down.
Verhulst has gone down, but TSM are picking up kills. 5 points off match point, but FC Destroy are in the area as Dark Zero will finish off Riddle Order. 7 squads remain. TSM still alive, but FC Destroy were griefing them. But TSM, it looks like they have got back up to a full 3, and they've managed to get Verhulst back on his feet.
Dark Zero down on this low ground. Fire Beavers eliminated. Fire Beavers will not be partaking in this final fight that we're going to see. The solo was dismantled, taken apart, as TSM march forward once more. A little bit of loot to play with here for them as well. That's how the lay of the land is at the moment. Optic Gaming right in the middle of that truck. Next to them, sharing the carriage almost, is Pulverex. FaZe are wrapped to the north side of this zone. And then on the other side, you can see FC Destroy overlooking the position of TSM.
Pulverex and FC Destroy certainly in good spots right now, especially when you consider their compositions as well. FaZe, still a squad who can do some damage from this northern side. I like to play north in this zone because you can come from above, you can use the lips as a little bit of a head glitch and manage to just get some nice shots onto some teams and take that advantage. 6 squads that are remaining means you have to be very careful with where you try and push here, because if you expose yourself from even the slightest angle, there could be several teams that will just destroy you as you move.
Tough thing here is the rotate for TSM and Dark Zero. How do they try and approach it? Dark Zero are going to have to go through Optic and FaZe. On the other side of things, TSM are going to have to be so aware of the position of FC Destroy. Yes, TSM have the high ground here, but they don't have the zone. That's going to be pulling towards Pulverex.
4 points required for TSM to get onto match point, and now they're making their move towards FC Destroy. Dark Veil goes down just to give them that extra cover, and even though FC Destroy are going to post up and take this fight, TSM look like they know they have to go in this direction. They can't afford to go north.
The kills might be enough here for TSM if they can't get them, but there's the Newcastle wall. The castle wall's a problem, but so is Verhulst. He's going in, but can't quite get the knock. There's the mobile shield, and TSM eliminated Newcastle, showing how down to try and shadow their way in.
Pulverix go down as well. Dark Zero now will push in and try and take this spot off of Pulverix. And Zainu starts to shred, but he's gone down as well.
Jemburn now with Zero. Couple kills go down. It's FaZe who are feeling the pain right now. Jen trying to survive. Can he win this one? Jemburn, can you get the armor swap? Or has that just opened the door for FC Destroy? They stop TSM in their tracks. They take them out of the game, and they take game number 2.
FC Destroy might have just done this whole crowd a favor because it means the games are going to keep rolling. TSM do not make match point. But FC Destroy put a win on the board and put themselves up to 24 points, almost halfway to match point. Such a solid hold. As soon as I saw TSM were approaching FC Destroy, I just started to think, Watson plus Newcastle, it's such a tough composition to try and push upon. And FC Destroy, they hold strong, they then get primary position, they bide their time, and in the end, they just roll on up on a very weak squad to pick up the win.
How about that mobile shield though, right? It looked like TSM had the advantage in that fight initially. They got that damage down, but then the Newcastle sends it out. He's like, okay, cool, you got a few shots in, we'll get through this one. TSM didn't have an answer for that. And then in the final moments, Dark Zero trying to force on that final position. Trying to take that train car away, the damage was done, and FC Destroy, having done their work already with that fight, they walked their way in, they clean up the damage, and put some smiles to their faces.
When FC Destroy are able to post up and get into one of those primary positions, it's so difficult for other squads. As for TSM, it means they are now 4 points away from match point. Very achievable going into Storm Point, but Storm Point now is a different kettle of fish. There is going to be a lot of teams that are going to be looking to maybe play edge, try and get those big kill games to try and catch up a lot of these leaders.
Here's your final circle then, and this is going to be from the POV of our match winners, FC Destroy. And it's going to be fascinating to watch it actually, Dan, from the point that we're seeing right now, especially with this fight that was so vital for them to win the game.
And I love how Hamadrill plays this as well. As soon as the Dark Veil goes down, Hamadrill doesn't allow them to freely rotate. Instead, he takes a peek here to do the initial damage, then he backs off and joins the rest of the team. And it's the Newcastle Castle wall which just gives them the ultimate advantage in this push. And TSM, I think they kind of knew when you're pushing onto a team like this, it's always going to be a tough fight. They did great damage, but they just weren't able to get that knock. And it meant FC Destroy always had the gun advantage. They always had that extra player. And from this point, they got all that extra loot, all of the extra resources. They watched the kill feed come to life, and it was just a matter of time before they were going to get the win.
Yeah, very simple for them to do after the hard work was done. Just walking up onto that train car, a little bit of damage you would imagine would be done just before they do approach, but with knocks on either side for Dark Zero and FaZe, it was a case of just walking in and saying, hey, this is probably one of the easiest wins we'll have and easiest end games we'll have to convert.
Yeah, they actually killed the two remaining players in the end to put down a 19-point game. But by the way, Dark Zero with 14 kills get a 23-point game, which puts them up to 36 points. Again, in my opinion, within touching distance of match point. Big game for FaZe as well to make sure that they put themselves in that question of being championship winners. You've got to keep up with the leaders. This is the point with match point format. You can't afford to fall too far behind. Otherwise, then you have to start playing the risky strategies of going for those huge games.
FC Destroy the winners of game number 2. You can see it there, 19 points in total. Elsewhere, we were talking about Alliance after their good game number 1. Could they push TSM as being one of the first teams to maybe get towards match point? The answer is probably not. After that game, just 3 points on the board, I believe it was. 27 overall now for Alliance. At the other end of the table, Fnatic, a little bit quiet from them. NRG we saw get run over as well in that game. LG a little bit quiet alongside XZ, but it's 2 games in, Dan. It's 2 games in.
It's 2 games in, but with some of the heavy hitters already getting such big points totals, it does become concerning for some of these squads who haven't got any points yet. Ascend, 0 points on the board in both match 1 and 2. And we've got to point out, they were in that final circle in Split 1 playoffs. They had that chance to win Split 1 playoffs, but at the moment, they are so far behind the leaders that they need to pick things up, and hopefully Storm Point can be the big difference for them.
We're highlighting the game from Dark Zero, understandably so. Very, very impressive from them, which leaves them on 36 points total. We'll take a look at some of the stats coming in from the man on your screen right now, Zero. What a game it was from him. 7 kills to his name, but the damage being dealt by his teammates. And I have to say, Zainu, in some of those situations where they were trying to breach buildings, stop reses coming in, he was hitting some big sprays.
And they got their reward.
Just enough big.
They got their reward for holding Survey Camp, for asserting dominance in Survey Camp for so long that when that circle started to shift, they had all the goodies they could want. They had the grenades to constantly pepper those teams who were arriving. And I tell you what, you don't need a win if you're getting that many kills. If you can get that much points on the board, you can be consistent. Worry about getting that win when you're on match point.
Speaking of match point, this is how it stands overall. Just a reminder to everyone who's watching, or if you're watching match point format for the first time, someone has to cross 50 points before they can win this tournament. Once they cross that 50-point mark, then you have to go on and win a game of Apex Legends. TSM just 4 points away from qualifying for match point. Dark Zero chasing them down, though, with that big game. 36 points for them. And I tell you what, after the next game, if either of those two teams have a good one, match point might be active.
Yeah, and someone was asking me earlier, what's an average points total for a team that wins? And I'd say around 20-ish, if you're going to have an average. That means that Dark Zero, if they were to win, they'd be up there. Alliance, they're not too far off. Even FC Destroy with another big game might be able to find themselves on match point as well. So we're getting closer and closer to some of these squads being on match point going into match number 3.
It's an exciting time to be an Apex Legends fan. Certainly an exciting time to be a Dark Zero or a TSM fan. But for now, while the teams get moved over and we head towards Storm Point, I believe the Blaze has got an interview for us. So, Blaze, who have you found?
Thank you so much, Onset and Gasket. I have found Jonathan, the co-owner of Alliance. Everybody show him some love in the venue. Now, Jonathan, one thing is true throughout this entire weekend. You guys have had this venue chanting Alliance. What does that feel like to have so much support here, and what has the atmosphere been like?
Wow, I cannot explain how much it means to hear the fans, the crowd shouting our name. It means so much, and the vibe inside here in this arena is just amazing. Yeah, it means everything.
Yes, it does. And now, Alliance, they're here on this stage, fighting for that championship. What's one thing is that you want to let the fans know out there who've been supporting you all?
I just want to thank everyone that's been out there supporting us. We can really notice your support through Twitter and social media, and I'm not sure if you guys understand how much it means, but the boys know it, we feel it, and can't thank you enough. Thank you.
What will the championship here today mean for the organization of Alliance and to do it in London?
I mean, I said it before, but I think it would mean everything. I think Haki's effect, Yuki, they're such good players. They really, really deserve this. I just hope that we can get TSM and Dark Zero to, skip it over this time. We deserve it the most.
You guys definitely do. And one way to do that is to get the crowd hype, because we got a lot of Alliance merch out there right now. And Jonathan is about to get you guys going here, because we got some amazing plushies out there as we get ready to head into this next game. Keep bringing up the energy, everybody, and get your hands up.
Incredible stuff. And shout out to Blaze, by the way. He has been bringing the best energy, I think, in the world to this event. Really doing some great work down on the floor with the interviews, getting the crowd going, keeping them happy, Dan. And I'm sure that there's some fans who are looking quite happy up there how their teams have started so far.
Ratio, remember the name, don't wear it out. It's not a mouse, it doesn't have pizza, it's cheese, I've been told. But the Alliance, strong crowd favourites at the moment, but they are still a way to go to get to match point as we move over to Storm Point. So everything that these teams had learned about all the other 19 teams they're going against completely changes now. Drop spots, contests, rotations. We're on to Storm Point for match number 3.
This could be a very, very interesting match of Apex Legends. We are closing in on a couple of teams already. After just 3 games, hitting match point. TSM just need 4. Oh, Dark Zero, they need 14 as we see the contest thrown down once more.
Well, I know Riddle Order was the only question mark that we kind of had of where are they going to land? Are they going to contest anywhere? And it's, unfortunately for Ganbare Otasan, it's another contest for them that they kind of have to work with here.
the Trident's going to be stolen. There's some Grand Theft Auto happening here at the start of map number 3, but it looks like everybody survived that. Nobody has been knocked, nobody will go down. The question is, are they going to get enough loot to really have an impactful game here? Heading over to the armory is certainly going to be a good way to get a few guns and get leveled up for Gambare Otosan. Fire Beavers now, we're going to have a look at them over at Cenote Cave. But looking at where that zone is going down, it's looking like a Barometer zone.
Barometer, great for Oxygen, and actually Oxygen are one of our best Storm Point teams in this lobby from this tournament alone. 3 victories so far across the last few days, and if they can set up, post up, and get into that final circle, wouldn't be surprised if we see them having the chance to win it again. I'll call it already, just because Oxygen are one of those squads who know how to set up for this zone, and they've done it so many times already this tournament.
Certainly do indeed. They're going to be able to get a bit more info what's going to be happening on the map as well. They do have a survey beacon to play with, although it's not going to give them the ring console information they maybe would have wanted. If my eyes don't deceive me, do they have a ring console down at my eyes?
Don't think they have a ring console, and I think that is a good point for you to point out here, because they may start to move away from Barometer and start a natural rotation. They could also hold, wait and scan that survey beacon in maybe about 30, 45 seconds and see where teams are starting to arrive, and that will give them a better idea of where this circle is going to be pulled.
Looking elsewhere towards the north side of the map, Blackhand are making their rotation through Stormcatcher. You can see them just approaching zone phase. They are going to have a ring console, so they're going to know where they have to play from. Opportunity to hit a ring console for Alliance as they head down south as well. TSM, they're going to have a survey beacon to hit on their way down south as well, so they'll get a little bit of info by leaving a bit later on where teams are starting to stack up, but maybe the zone info they would have wanted, but this is what we're expecting to see in our end zone down.
Yeah, Barometer is the POI where it's closest to be where we're going to be finishing. We're going to see a lot of teams on that high tower just setting up. The first team to get there is going to be in one of the prime positions to pick up a lot of kills from the teams arriving from the southwest, perhaps. But Riddle Order, they're still having a little bit of a scrap. They know there's a team inside. Maybe this is a cheeky ambush.
Trying to pull off but a ruse if they can take them down without being shown themselves. The armor is such a risky thing sometimes. You've got a team perched on top. We saw it yesterday, how it can really fall apart for either team, to be honest with you. Jim Burton, though, oh dear. Knocked by name, knocked by nature.
That charge rifle hit so hard, the bass in the arena thudded through my chest, and now Dark Zero are trying to push up on it, but again, sensible decision. They felt like it was too far to go up to try and push this one, so they're backing off slightly.
Shots being exchanged. You wonder if Dark Zero do fancy this. Knocked back to his feet. Like you said, just managed to get inside of that building, which makes the push so much more difficult. Charge rifle still in the hands, though, of Jem Burton. And we know that he likes to hit the shots of all shots, and he'll be lining up another one here. Elsewhere on the map, TSM have just gone through Cascade Falls. LG still over doing the armory outside of Fish Farms between Gale Station. And it looks like a lot of teams who are coming, here we go, on the southern side of things are looking to gather some information before they do head in. Now, back, like you say, to Riddle Order on top of the armory. Inside is going to be Gambare Otosan. They've got to be careful here. They're going to send it, Riddle Order. They're going to send it here. They get the first knock. Shots being exchanged, though. It's a jungle gym in here, and Yukio's now left. Oh, he's left us last alive. Goes up to the top rope. Drops the elbow, but can he get the pinfall?
He's going for a Newcastle res here, tries to get up top. The res comes through. Is he going to be able to get the damage, though, and maybe finish this fight? The Newcastle holds strong as Yukio cannot get over the wall, and Gambare Otosan will hold on and hold off Riddle Order, who had been planning that push for quite some time.
The kick out comes through just as you thought the 3 count was about to come down. Fire Beavers eliminated. In the meantime, TSM fighting against Ascend 2, and you can see here that Ascend decided this is not the rotate that we want. Lucas got to be so careful. I'm pretty sure that was the team up on height in Barometer. Fizzing away at his health. Phoenix kill will be popped, but post kill, you're going to have to be left behind. And I tell you what, Kashera might be joining him soon.
So TSM were able to pick up 1 kill, which puts them 1 point closer to match point. They're now 3 away. As Moist managed to get the knock, it is going to be Lufka now going down as Ascend cannot catch a break at the moment on their rotation with 0 points. Just can't get into Barometer. And it's going to be a rat situation just to try and pick up some placement points. But once again on set, that means they are going to fall further and further behind the leaders here. And we may well just have one team on match point going into this as Ascend do get eliminated.
It's Moist Esports who get that final elimination. Onto Kishera, Waltzy. With the triple take in his hands, doing enough and having enough range to convert that. The only team at the moment who isn't inside of zone is Alliance. They are going through Stormcatcher to hit that ring console, so they're going to know where to go. The question is, are they going to find somewhere to play?
So one thing I'm intrigued as to whether it will happen or not, TSM are 3 points away from match point, right? That means one team fight will put them onto match point. They're not in one of the best positions for Barometer. If they catch wind of any team that's slightly weak or maybe is failing their rotation, is taking some damage, I wouldn't be surprised if TSM were to get aggressive and just try and surpass that match point situation so that they can get into the next game and try and win this championship. But at the same time, where currently TSM are, there's not many teams around them for them to push because everyone has found themselves in Barometer nice and early.
What they can do is look for a third-party opportunity, though, if one does arise. So TSM kind of playing, you would say, a safer game at the moment. Alliance, we just saw them on their way in there, just double-crafting on their way in to make sure that they've got the meds and possibly leveling up the Evo shields without having to be involved in combat themselves. Blackhand and LG Shivas are kind of hovering around antennae, but not too much as far as shots being exchanged between the two. Moist just trying to level up those Evo shields, at the moment. The longbow shots are going to be a very good tool.
So this was the position I was talking about as well from TSM. Just holding that northern side at the moment. The circle's probably going to pull away from them, but they're just hovering. They're waiting, holding that choke, hoping that they can third party, hoping they can get another team. Alliance going to be arriving very late, but they love their drop over at Lightning Rod. It's done them very well at this tournament so far. But of course, they have to move a long way before they're going to get to this circle.
Fnatic got really tough rotating as well. You can see that they're about to approach zone, and there's so many teams looking out at them. Moist Esports, though, set up in such a strong position for this endgame. 17 squads still remaining with 1 minute and 48 seconds left on zone number 2.
No wins on Stormpoint for Moist this tournament, though, so it's not been as kind to them as World's Edge, but as long as you can get some kills on the board and try and get closer to that match point, it will mean that you then cross over to World's Edge by the time you're on it, if you are still getting a good total. Pulverix with full whites and just holding nice and early here. Now, this is a Pulverix special. This is something they've been doing all tournament. They set up, they hide away, they get into a position. Sometimes they play like they're rats, but as a full 3. But then they just explode. They might catch a team off guard, steal all the loot. They also, of course, have the ability to get the black market down with Loba and just grab some of those shields away from other teams.
Everybody is safe. Everybody is not wanting to show at this point. The story is, of course, TSM just need 3 points, and they're on match point. Alliance and Dark Zero, their closest competitors. Dark Zero on 38 as it stands. Alliance 27, just behind them after their win. FC Destroy.
Now, a team who could rock the boat a little bit is Gambari Otazan. They're going to be arriving from this western side, and Optic, Exit, Dark Zero all kind of hold this area. The same could be said for Alliance, because they're going to be moving from the west, trying to make their way in, and actually now they're coming from the northern side. They've actually gone round and wrapped TSM. I don't know if they knew they were there or not, but they've managed to avoid them and avoid that fight. But it's the teams that are arriving late from Edge that are really going to disrupt the current setups and maybe just trying to steal them away from other teams.
Yeah, Alliance just taking a second to hit the survey beacon, so they're going to know where everybody is. And with 17 squads remaining, information at this stage of the game, so vital to see what buildings are free, what positions they could play for, what third parties they could potentially expect to see as well, as we get a look at where that zone is going. Pulverix are bang center, but Exet are in a great spot too.
Yeah, Pulverix bang center, but very exposed to potential for grenades and for teams just panicking, arriving with a trident or arriving as they run through the water and just trying to use the bridge as cover, and then Pulverix might just be damage control. They might just end up taking fire because of that.
Here we go.
So they need to have a big presence. Now, Alliance used that survey beacon, and they would have seen that a team was there. They, of course, won't know it's TSM, but they did start to move their way over.
One thing Alliance love is an isolated fight. If they feel it's a straight 3v3, then more than inclined to try and take it. But with the shots coming out from Barometer, it just becomes a little bit more risky because one shot in your back completely changes how that fight is going to end up.
And I don't really blame them. I mean, with the way Alliance have been playing in those isolated fights, they've been unbelievable. Effect, of course, a big part of that, but every single member is playing their part at the same time. But they didn't want to take it. They knew full well that there was potential for third parties or at least extra damage, and instead Alliance will start to think about maybe moving into this zone instead. As for Fnatic, they currently hold a sensible position over towards Jurassic, and I think eventually they are going to have to move, and they might end up near the likes of TSM. And this is what TSM want. TSM want a team to come through that middle choke, but having a Crypto on board for Fnatic means they should avoid any sort of ambush.
Should avoid the ambush. Also, could open the door here for Alliance. If Alliance hear this fight take place, then they might come and think about thirding it. The zone is going to be pulling even further south here, and Oxygen Esports, who land over at Barometer, they know the zone better than anyone. They are set up for success here.
Yeah, Oxygen have done so well at getting into one of the best positions. Blackhand still in the zone, as well as Gambare Artisan, who are just trying to avoid the fight at the moment. It's the perfect strategy on paper. Just avoid as much teams until they start to go down, and then maybe take some of those positions as the game goes on. But with 17 squads still remain, no one really wants to kind of step foot out at the moment. No one wants to take that fight, because as soon as that engagement starts, it encourages that third party. There you can see the circle moving down towards the southwest, close to Oxygen, and Dark Zero also positioned quite well alongside Optic Gaming.
Interesting to see that the teams who are furthest away from zone at the moment, Geo, you can see is still in zone. FaZe, I've got to travel quite some way as well, but it's TSM and Alliance, you would say, have got to probably do the most walking here, Dan. They're the ones who have got to find a way to get towards zone, and they're the two teams who are inside our top three.
Yeah, TSM have still been waiting, still been hoping someone would arrive, but it looks like Fnatic are going to move around TSM the same direction that Alliance took. It could mean we'll have an Alliance versus Fnatic fight shortly, but at the moment, FaZe, they're thinking about how they're going to plan to enter the middle of Barometer at the moment, because they're on the southeast side. The circle is going to force them in next to the teams like Blackhand, Pioneers, 100 Thieves, and NRG. It is going to be a tough old road to get past all those squads.
And now we're going to see the battle of edge. We're seeing Fnatic versus Alliance, and it's the perfect time to jump into a listening. Let's see what Fnatic do in this fight.
俺の背中でいやそこで張り付いてもいいよ俺の場所強いよ相手屋上だったな相手屋上だったな飛び出してるで今ちょっと俺しゃがんでるセットしてるでしょリブートセットしに行く俺左の窓今俺木ないや俺今木ないオッケー射撃終わったよ屋根いるの屋根いる一人悪気ないで別に11秒ね入ったら上行くわこれどっちにも木ないこれいや木ないよ一番上取って海田一番上いない相手のライト注意俺も上行くわ一緒に左奥肩割ってるこれ行こうお前で俺ら次 B コーンでバレるとしたらだからケツ側に集まってオッケーこの中の方が安全かも海田この中でいや俺のそばに来てオッケー構えるよ
Well, the listening presented by WD Black, and now you can see that Alliance have been forced to make their move towards zone. TSM were having a look at that. They were thinking about it, Dan, but don't get the opportunity to strike.
Gambare Artisan eliminated. TSM really wanted to third that. They want these 3 points to get onto match point. Fnatic now will take their chance to fly over the top of everyone, but what this has allowed TSM to do is just walk on into the circle, because Alliance were forced to do so, and TSM can just kind of shadow it at the moment.
Oh, what a play from Fnatic, by the way. How is this egg completely and utterly free? Fights starting to break out everywhere at the moment, as everyone knows they're going to have to leave, and teams try and force their way into zone. Pioneers on our screen right now. Are they able to hold strong?
Pioneers holding, but TSM are also fighting Alliance at the same time. There are so many big fights happening on the map at Storm Point as all these teams are being forced together. Alliance are trying to hold off TSM, who keep thinking about it, keep trying to push up, keep trying to get those extra points.
Such an awkward angle to fight this fight on the bridge, though. TSM pushed up onto Alliance. Neither team has taken damage as yet. Elsewhere, you can see in the kill feed, FaZe, they're taking damage. Moist Esports have been eliminated in the meantime, but elsewhere, it looks like there's a standoff between Alliance and TSM for now.
Alliance have done so well to hold off that push from TSM. They were so close, as now Hackis has taken a lot of damage here. There's other teams that can get involved. It's Reps gets the opener onto Hackis, and this could be the points for TSM to find themselves on match point. They're now on 49, one away.
TSM get the opening damage. Now they're going to look to convert. Alliance Scarpa away.
Surely they chase this.
It was looking like Effect was just waiting a few moments there for his black hole to come back on horizon. Then he might be able to use that to turn the fight around. In the meantime, Black Hand eliminated. 13 squads now remaining, and here comes a little zone wrap from TSM. They're trying to catch him off guard.
And they just want these kills. They know it's all they need. They need to be careful. It is a 3 versus 2, but you've got to work together.
How goes in? How goes down? But now it's all up to Reps and Verholst. Only one player left from Alliance behind the knockdown shield. Surely they clear this one up. Surely they get it done. Alliance eliminated. But here comes the third party.
Fnatic will clean up TSM, but TSM have done enough. They are on match point, and they will have the chance to win here on Sunday in the next match.
100 Thieves push their way forward, but unfortunately found themselves eliminated as well. Nathan from NRG will fall on board with LG now. LG Shivas trying to control, trying to force their way towards zone as 10 squads find themselves standing in these final moments. I think by the looks of how everyone was set up in and around Barometer down, Pulverex down in the meantime, it was a surprise how that zone pulled, because now everyone is desperately trying to force their way in.
Well, the one team who wasn't surprised by it, the team it dropped at Barometer, Oxygen, they were well aware, and the other team that's in the perfect position right now is Dark Zero. Dark Zero, who are 8 points away from match point. It might not only be TSM who are there for the next game.
Dark Zero got a chance. They have an opportunity. They need 8 points, like you say, to close out. And here, match point. Well, Zainu with a 30-30 might be able to add one. They're going to send on this, so why wouldn't you?
Yeah, you can isolate this fight with the Dark Veil. Adopted Gaming on the receiving end, and they get eliminated as Dark Zero now find themselves 5 away from match point. And not only that, they now own the entirety of the western side of this circle. They can hold off, they can play patient, and they should get an easy route into the top 3.
I mean, it's a fantastic view to show how much control Dark Zero have right now. Everybody else has to walk through each other to get to zone, and then they have to go through Oxygen. Who's up on the high ground? Who's on their own? It's going to be Dark Zero. Pioneers fall in the meantime. We're down to 5.
It should be a Dark Zero or an Oxygen win with the positions that both of these teams currently hold. NRG are down to a 2, so this is going to be a struggle, but they want to just get as much placement points as possible. The other squads, of course, LG Chivas and Exet that you can see on your screen, they've got to arrive from the northern side. It's going to be the most difficult situation for those two squads, because not only have they got to fight each other, but then they're going to get griefed by Oxygen and NRG, and then eventually Dark Zero.
Rolling Thunder coming down. You can see that on the right-hand side of your screen. LG trying to force their way forward. Exet just trapped inside of that bunker and trying to take this fight right now. Surprising. LG zone starts to close very, very soon, though. LG know what they're going to do. Just hold. Make sure that Exet cannot escape. And don't take too much damage while you do it. However, they've had to expend now the exhibit from Seer. The Dark Veil goes down from Exet. They're trying to escape.
Yeah, all these ults are being used to escape, which means if they even get into the final circle, it's going to be so difficult for them to win. But at the moment, it's about surviving. It's about moving on and trying to avoid this fight as best as you can. But then when you force it, when you are able to isolate it, then you have to dive on it, because otherwise you're just going to get thirded too easily.
Digi's going to be important here for fun. Nocturnal sends in the smokes. LG are forced out their little hidey hole up into the thinner air above them. The Q is going to be good, and it gets them safe, and now they get that opening knock, but send in Sykes. He'll exchange things. LG eliminated. Another black hole comes in, but while all this fighting's going down, Dan, you've got to think Dark Zero. They're able to just hold on to their ultimates for this endgame.
Dark Zero just sit pretty. They wait, they're patient. Exet eliminated as Dark Zero now find themselves 1 point. No, Dark Zero have done it. They will be on match point, but what a big fight this is to try and win this game. As Oxygen Esports, they need these points.
It's a straight 3v3. Vayne is desperately trying to pop that Alt XL, but 99% turns to 100. He is going to be able to throw that Rolling Thunder down. Oxygen do have zone here. Dark Zero will have to move, but the damage from Dark Zero might be enough for them to have to make the move without too much risk here.
Also, if Dark Zero have been doing their math, they know they're on match point. They can play this one a little bit more fearless, but a win going into the next map would do wonders for their confidence. At the moment, it's ring around of rosies from these Dark Veils. Where are you going to go? Is it going to be left or right?
It's height versus zone at the moment. Dark Zero do not want to give up this height without giving out some damage before they do so. But as soon as these Dark Veils expire, That's going to be the signal maybe to push. Here we go. The black hole goes down. Zainu's going to swing. They're going to go left. They're going to look to tough them up. They're going to look to put them to bed. Zainu moves in. It's a 2v1.
It's a 2v1 and it should just be easy from here, but the knockdown shield makes things a lot more difficult.
Zainu goes up onto high. Vayne left on his own, trying to do what he can. It would be a mesmerizing play if he could pull this off, but Jens had time now to pop that battery. Send in Zainu. Send in Jin Burden. Send the victory screen towards Dark Zero, and Jen's up on the desk. Match point achieved for Dark Zero alongside a champion banner.
And you couldn't have written it better yourself. The two teams on match point, TSM, the Split 1 playoff winners, and Dark Zero, previous championship winners as well. The two teams who have dominated match point tournaments will both have the chance to win this entire thing in the next game.
Unbelievable composure from Dark Zero in those final moments, though. Really, really smart for them. Making sure that they were the ones who just kept that last ult available. The black hole's a difference maker because Oxygen is just trapped. They have to take their attention away for 2 seconds to destroy the thing, otherwise they're dead anyway. And Dark Zero swing out as a 2. Zero goes widest, does damage, and then it's left up to the Roller Boys to convert it into a win.
And it is so much nicer if they had that knowledge of the fact they were on match point already. They can be a little bit more loose, a little bit more free with their push. As for Oxygen Esports, still an incredible performance. They're now on 30 points, so they are third place in a moment, 20 off of match point. And it was a circle they had to get some points from. It was pulling towards them. It came to barometer. They predicted the pull away, and they were rewarded for it. But for Dark Zero, they committed to that western side of the zone so long ago, and as soon as they were able to take down Optic Gaming, they owned that side of the map. And from that point, it was just about being patient and allowing everyone to come to them.
Amazing stuff from Dark Zero. We now have 2 teams on match point, and like you say, it's probably the 2 teams who historically have been picking up those trophies since Apex Legends competitive play started. TSM and Dark Zero now have a chance in this next game, Dan, to lift that trophy, which is just over the balcony in front of us there.
And it is going to be Storm Point again as well. And this is probably good news for TSM because if you remember what happened in Split 1 playoffs, it was Storm Point where they won it. It has been Storm Point where they have a much better conversion rate throughout the online season. But Dark Zero, they've got a couple of things tucked up their sleeves as well. They'll be trying to take down TSM here in this next match.
Really, really impressive stuff from Dark Zero in that Storm Point game. And I got to say as well, TSM made a very smart decision to push onto Alliance. I would say that knock from Reps is the difference maker, right? If he doesn't get that, maybe it's a straight 3v3, but one kill, we always say, completely changed the context of a game of Apex Legends. That got them that opening, then they were able to convert, they get those kills, they hit match point, and now we have 2 teams who can go and win it. For now, though, from the Casters booth, that's going to do us. We're going to set up for our next game by sending it down to Rain Day on the desk.
Thank you so much, Onset and Gaskin. Great job on the cast. We are here with some analysis on the performances that we have seen so far after 3. Of course, presented by PlayStation Tournaments. My name is Randy. I'm here with Glitter, Sabs, Spider Tiff, and Dia. I want to break down quickly, though, that final zone because we have 2 teams on match point after 3 games. Sabs, you're joining us on the desk. Walk us through what happened in that final zone to allow Dark Zero to get that clutch. I know she's trying to figure out a little bit of a mic. We're going to toss a little bit over to Glitter as she gets that going. No worries, Sap. We'll get that fixed up for you. Glitter, Tiff, Dia, I'm going to go with you in a line. Tiff, maybe you kick this off. Talk us through this final circle.
Look, it was so impressive, and I love the utilization of the Dark Veils to try and buy just Oxygen Esports a little bit more time to heal back fully before they had to approach Dark Zero on the high ground. But Zainu with the 30-30 was able to really apply so much pressure in an anchored position, but when he had to act on it, he did well.
We've seen a similar circle to this before, even when TSM was able to walk away with a win in the group stages, and controlling high ground as Dark Zero did is really important. However, importantly, it's also not the first time that we've seen Oxygen play things out from the low ground. They've done this every time that the zone goes over to Cenote, and it's an incredibly powerful spot for Oxygen to be able to grab early on because the rotation from Barometer is so simple, and the position that they hold on the low ground, if I'm honest, is not a winning one. Tiff, the fact that Oxygen Oxygen played from this low ground suggests to me that their journey was more about picking up as many points as possible than it was about getting first.
And that's completely right? We have two teams now within that game that have put themselves over that 50-point match threshold, and Oxygen is still 20 points away from being able to do so. So they needed to make sure that they could get as many eliminations, because they are rotating in from Barometer, which had 3 zones originally throughout all the gameplay that we've seen before. But this one was different, pulling just outside.
And Dark Zero had a wonderful game, quite a bit of damage, especially on Jen Burton, who was lauded as being a critical member of this squad. Wasn't able to play the first LAN with the team, went back when they won over at Champs. However, has clearly been, an integral part of their season up until now, and of this game, where he's able to support the team really effectively.
I think the thing that we need to pay attention to now, you guys have mentioned it quite a few times, going into this next match, we have 2 of the best LAN specialist squads on a hot streak right now. Dark Zero here coming through with those 9 kills. OXG putting themselves in a really solid spot, starting to get those points on board for quite a few teams actually, but now they all have to play catch up here, Rain, as we take into consideration match point could potentially happen.
All right, Sav, sorry about that. Welcome back. What do you think? These are our results, obviously, in that last game. Anything particular standing out to you as we look at these and then transition into our overall results after 3?
You know, TSM was playing really safe. They started so well, but, something changed. They got few points. They got the match point, but...
And now that's what they came to do, right? At the end of the day, Sabs, that's what you want to do after 2. You're feeling pretty happy about it, definitely after 3. But now they've got to contend with Dark Zero, and that is the problem. The one team that maybe could, shave off a little bit of the TSM legacy is the team that has been competing against their legacy on LAN. 2 wins for Dark Zero Glitter. They're going for a 3rd here.
Yeah, and you know that not only are they going to be wanting to get another title under their belt, but now everyone else knows that some of the scariest teams that have the potential to close this out have the opportunity to. Will that change how some of these squads play?
Now, the only thing that's going to change for me is if I am not on match point right now, I want to score as many points as possible, because the moment this ends, I want to make sure I am thrusting myself up into that prize money, that's for sure.
And of course, the other thing that you've got to look out for, and Glitter, you and I were talking about this a bit more in the green room as well, but is the importance of rotations. In previous times in Apex, we would look at teams on match point and go, maybe you want to commit to a fight with them right off the drop. And in this particular case, as Apex Legends has continued to evolve, that's not so much the case. But if you can prepare yourself, knowing now where teams are dropping, all these teams should have access to it just as equally.
Sure.
Knowing where a team is coming from and being able to set up to upset them based on that is really powerful, and they can be done.
Overall match standings after 3, 2 teams on match point. That is TSM and Dark Zero. Sabs, thoughts on the teams that are standing out to you? It's kind of hard to pick any of those 2, but we mentioned APAC South to start this off. We also mentioned that there could be APAC North team that actually gets this win. Are you seeing anything promising from our APAC squads yet, or is it too early to tell?
Remember yesterday, Riddle was going amazing. They were literally running through everybody, and I think that's what they're gonna do soon. They just warm me up.
Yukio almost had that clutch in Armory. That was a beautiful play, but it didn't end up working out for him, unfortunately. Those have been some phenomenal moments, but guess what? We mentioned some phenomenal players, some phenomenal teams. You now have a chance to get into the action and have your say heard with our Monster Energy MVP. Whether you're in the building right now in the Copper Box or you're watching online, use hashtag and the name of the player that you think has had the most outstanding performance. If you do so, you'll have a chance to vote. Those will be tallied at the end, and we'll have a special little moment with our Monster Energy MVP. Of course, this is on Twitter, on Twitch, anywhere you use this hashtag, we will be able to tabulate that. Great stuff that we've got going on, and obviously, Tiff, when it comes to monster performances, there's lots to choose from.
There really is, and so far you think about where we could go with this, and Dark Zero, TSM, we keep talking about even Effect with Alliance, but the question is it Big E or is it Little E, right?
Yeah.
Because Verhulst has just completely leveled up. They switched his role, and just watching the performance and how it has elevated TSM, it's been really game-changing, allowing reps to step into another full form also.
Even thinking back to that last zone that we saw the last time TSM was there, it's Verhulst that turned everything around for them. This player's incredible, and there's nothing more to say.
All right, well, we all know things are happening here live in London, but something that's happening tomorrow that you definitely need to pay attention to is one of my favorite things in the Apex Legends universe. It's the expansion of the stories of the Outlands. This one features Loba, Maggie, and Lifeline, and it's called Kill Code. Part 1. I don't know how many parts there are, but I'm excited that there are maybe more than just this one. Here's a little bit of a sneak peek for you.
There's more of these all over the Outlands.
Always exciting. Those do so well. Millions of views in a day, and also carrying on the legacy that makes this game so interesting. The narrative team behind Apex is what truly has inspired a lot of the fandom that you see here today, and of course behind us on stage. Okay, one other big thing to mention that I'll tease is that we have some information coming up for Champs. That's right, the culmination of a year of competitive play in the ALGS, but we'll give it to you after gameplay. So make sure to stick around and head over here on this stream to make sure you get that info at the end. All right, we're going to go to a quick break, but when we come back, we continue with the best Sunday in esports. That's our Match Point Finals. Don't go anywhere. Herman Miller Gaming is the official chair partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Make sure everyone makes it home.
We're a team. We look out for each other.
I won't let you down.
Let's go.
That was a sick game, dude.
No one gets left behind.
Official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
This is where dreams are made. Here we are in the Copper Box Arena. Few games down, maybe one more to go. We're going to have to see. Currently, Dark Zero and TSM are sitting at match point, and we're moving on to game number 4 on store points.
I think that the point Tiff made on the desk was really good there, Vicky. Other teams, they need to be clocking up those points regardless, because if one of those powerhouses, Dark Zero or TSM, can close it out here, that's how the series standings will be. You get paid out depending on where you end up, right? So, I mean, I want more Apex, but these guys may just want to finish it off right here, right now.
Hey, the difference between first and second place may as well be more than a $100,000 money match. That's what's on the line right here. And you talk about the distance between where TSM is and Oxygen right now sitting in third. It's a huge point difference. TSM sitting with 51 points. Oxygen sitting with 30 points. Everybody else right behind Oxygen. And it's crazy because in a game where there's some inconsistencies in a battle royale, the top teams do be pretty consistent.
It's been insane, honestly. The fact that these guys have been performing at this level and just not dropping a beat. I mean, look, Dark Zero, they were a little lower down if we're talking about winners bracket yesterday, but how is it? How is it that Zero just always shows up when it counts? 2 championships, just came off winning NA, the regional finals, and you've got to remember, this is possibly the strongest that NA has ever looked as well, right? They have 9 teams in this final lobby, the most representation they've ever had.
It's crazy. The NA is really coming out, but you saw the signs in the crowd, APAC South. Moist. They also need to come out. I know Genome in the back was talking about Moist, how excited it would be to see them pop off. I know he's also a big fan of Dark Zero out here too, but it's about seeing those consistencies come alive in these games.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're both very exciting teams, honestly. The fraggers they have to surround those phenomenal IGLs. It's the same story for both teams, but it is for TSM as well.
When we get ready, NRG, sweet. Thinking what they have to do next to keep NRG on top. A team currently sitting in 10th place, looking at the series results right now to keep you guys up to date. For those of you guys now tuning in, welcome to Finals Day. Dark Zero currently sitting with 57 points. TSM 51, already at match point. These teams did start with some points in the bag after their performance yesterday. Going all the way down and looking on the other side though, Xset, 17 points, sitting in 11. So many of these teams on Riddle Order not having the game that they wanted for the first time on Storm Point. Now wondering, are there going to be any contest to deny the opportunity from Dark Zero, TSM? I saw some friendly banter in the chat. Always fun to see. Sweet was wondering, is OSRS going to be available out here so I can put it on the side? Well, Sweet, you need to stay locked in right now. Dark Zero looking to continue their push from Mill over to the other side of the map. We're going to have to see how this goes.
Storm Point, we've already seen one game. There was a late contest in it last time, Vicky, right? We saw over at Beans some teams running into each other. A little bit of a weird one with the teams sort of looting the separate areas and then coming together over at the Armory. Let's see if those teams play this out a little bit differently this time. We've got a south to north dropship. Always wondering about that. Is it close enough to Lightning Rod? Do they have to worry about the gravity cannons? Is one of the biggest points, honestly, when you're thinking about the dropship halving over here on Storm Point.
Crowd getting excited now. Following through for our fourth game here. Second game on Storm Point. We've already seen wins from TSM, FC Destroy, and Dark Zero. Can they do it again? Taking a look at what we may see from early game action after what we already saw in the Armory last game. So chaotic to see how that was put down between Geo, perhaps Riddle Order here. Command Center also being the hot zone here for a lot of these squads. Moist is going to be able to definitely benefit off of that with some great loot, depending on where this circle is going to be going.
Yeah, we'll have to see where it does. Obviously, it should be a good one for them. But we've got Riddle and Gumbare. Once again, they're going into similar positions. Gumbare are going to take the armor cave. There's a couple of bins there. Often has very good high-level armor in it. You can see early shots. And Riddle take the more traditional bean start.
And being able to try it. Huge here for the future rotation that we're going to be able to see from that team. Riddle Order, again, splitting up that loot. Also nice to know that Mill has a lot of information between the survey beacon and the ring console for Dark Zero to benefit from. And we are moving down south out here towards Shipfall, so KCP having the circle advantage in their POI.
It's definitely going to be a shipfall zone. It has swung as south, as southerly as it possibly can here. We might even get one of those fun ones. Well, I call it fun. The players have a few words to say about that. But where it ends, like well out near the destroyed ship in the water, tridents become very important at this point because you need that cover to take it. Now, it looks like Riddle have managed to get into the armory this time. Will Geo wait for them on the outside? Will they try something a little bit different this time? You can see they've got the Trident, so if they wanted to, they could just make that quick rotation all the way down south.
We get to see the side-by-side with Geo already rotating with their Trident too. Get some extra damage onto the flyer.
I also like how they've got the sort of budget Gibby shield there.
Oh, right? Yeah, it's a wind shield. It's a wind shield. Let's see who's going to be roadkill for Geo. And Dark Zero on the other side as well, already rotating with their own Trident. You mentioned it perfectly. Looking at where this next circle is going to be, which Dark Zero already has the information for, they could utilize that Trident to not only get there faster, but to use it as some makeshift cover, like you mentioned, in case it does go out into the open. Sometimes these early rotates could be very detrimental.
This kind of a circle, by the way, if it does go all the way into that open water, could be fantastic for Newcastle teams. So just to, as a quick reminder of who's playing Newcastle here on Storm Point, we've got Ascend, we've got FC Destroy, Gambare Otosan, and we also have, no, actually that's it. So we've got, 3 teams there on the Newcastle, I believe. So those guys are going to be able to set up that cover. It's not quite permanent, but it will put them in good stead.
Definitely something that Ascend needs here if it works into their team composition. Currently sitting in last place as we take a look at Dark Zero taken to the skies. They are getting shot at from the back because it really highlights how many teams have made their way into the south side of Shipfall.
Now, something that Dia was saying on the desk is very important here, right? Teams at this level know the rotations of the other teams. They should be essentially counting how many teams come in. Okay, 6 teams coming in. It should be Dark Zero. We know, what spots they like to play. We know how long it's going to take them to make this sort of a rotation. And if teams are that switched on and they identify that correctly, they should be putting a little more stock in aggression towards TSM and towards Dark Zero, because otherwise we're going to be ending here in Game 4, Vicky.
Ooh, we got to see how this plays out. It's aside from the rotations too, it's also the team comp. Even though we've been seeing the comp that Dark Zero is running pretty frequently, so many of these other squads taking their time to rotate. Ooh, a nice little gold light mag here for Alliance to work with. But while they do defeat the Prowlers, they're going to be able to boost up their Evo Shield. This is a team that is going to be taking some time to rotate into that next circle as they do land in Lightning Rod, going right through Thunder Watch, looking on the other side, Fnatic also. That's why you're seeing so many teams with the Trident.
Doesn't bother them at all, though, does it? I mean, Alliance, that's why they land Lightning Rod. They like to play Edge. They want to craft up, play that PvE game first, because as we saw, the Smart Loot from the Prowlers is fantastic for getting them well stocked and ready when they do finally run into other teams. Black Hand might be in the way of Alliance. We'll have to see how they play this one out over at Launchpad, considering they had such a rough start with those contests over at Landslide.
Optic Gaming rotating through the mill, and guess who's nearby? It's going to be Gambare Otosan, who are going to be on the other side of mill, with a circle closing in here too. You can imagine the squads that would like to play on the edge of this side of the circle. Riddle Order, Fire Beavers, and Cenote Case. Looks like the fight has already gotten started. Optic Gaming dropped, already rotating from the inside of the building.
Bang ult's going down. Are they trying to get out quickly? Oh, they better boost away! They're actually going to reverse! A nice little handbrake spin there with the mobile shield to get away. Someone's been watching Fast and the Furious.
No, they said Skr, and they immediately rotated away from there. And it was a fight for the ring console too, by the way. That highlights Geo and Optic Gaming realizing the utility of Mill and what was provided to them there in that rotation.
I just love that. We always say how great the movement mechanics are for APAC North, right? And we've seen a lot of shoddy Trident drivers, even at the pro level. Damn, dude, these guys got to learn something from the APAC North, man. Flips the 180, instantly puts the mobile shield down. Those guys know how to make a getaway.
That was disgusting. And even being able to get away with so much noise being made in the mill area, you can imagine that Riddle Order probably looking to get involved in the mill as well as trying to get the ring console. Now taking a look at Exen. Over to the north side, exiting out of Antenna. So many of these teams, TSM, Blackhand, Ascend, rotating out of these POIs. Exen, who are holding that choke point, could find themselves in a sandwich situation here. They have some natural cover right next to the gravity cannon. You can already see the charge rifle shot from the distance. Ascend coming in from the skyward dive. Going to be able to also get the passive scan from the Valkyrie. Finding themselves a nice building which works into the team composition with the Watson and Newcastle.
Not too bad at all. If they can find a couple of safe spots to put the Jenny down. That said, I think the ring will continue to pull further south, so Ascend, noting that, will continue on their merry way. You can see Pulverex lying in wait, and then there's some teams all the way out in the zone here in Cenote Caves. That's going to be Geo on the other side of 5-Evers there. And Riddle Order, they've heard some shots as well, and they're looking.
Geo, by the way, have gone back around, probably to still not give up the information of the ring console since they have the Trident. What's important there was that's what we saw the priority from the very beginning once we started this game, was the priority on the Trident, so that way they could be able to get that information even if they don't want to engage in a fight. Fire Beavers playing outside the circle, like you mentioned, facing off against Riddle Order. The reason why neither Fire Beavers or Geo could get that Cenote Cave ring console if they haven't already is because Riddle Order has now made an appearance just in case they could push in for a third party.
Xset making some struggles so far in this tournament. It's been a little bit up and down. They show, signs of life to get back into this final day, but now they're sitting in 11, 17 points. They want to turn it around, but they're certainly well off some of these other squads. 100 Thieves taken down by LG, a team who say has been performing very well so far.
They have, but also getting contested by Dark Zero and Pulverex to their north. This is what I meant by these early rotations sometimes being detrimental, and not just a good way, but in a bad way here in early rotation for circles like this. Dark Zero backing away just in case. LG right in front of them. They call in the exhibit, letting other squads know what's happening here. Zero, who's been having an amazing day thus far. He must have eaten his Wheaties or something. LG get taken out.
Okay, but they're locked down further down the hill now. Pulverex start taking some shots from on top of the ship. That will actually help Dark Zero quite a lot. Oh, okay, we've got Sheila locked in here. I hope Dark Zero have a plan for this. There's that broken ship I was talking about, right? That is genuinely where the circle could end, but it's so not playable until right at the end.
And the reason why that is because the lackluster cover that you're dealing with, unless you do have that Newcastle wall that you had mentioned,
And even then, honestly, this early at this range, Sheila would eat that wall up. So even for the Newcastle teams, even for a Rampart team with the amped cover, it's not good enough just yet. You got to pick your time.
And your battles here too when you work with this natural cover that currently Pulverex is working with as well.
The other thing that really impresses me about DZ there, right, is that they're on match point. They don't need to be getting extra kills and extra, taking extra risks. But DZ, they know how to do this. Zero, obviously, is not the kind of guy who's just going to crumble under pressure. He's got 2 trophies at home and an MVP.
Just another day at work for Zero, who has already secured 12 kills throughout the day. Zainu with 11, Jen with 7. We've seen Jen clutch out so many times throughout the past couple of days. It's going to continue on here as we tune into TSM, rotating away here from Barometer.
Let us explode.
Spot shot there on the balloon. Okay. Not too bad from TSM. They have been playing a lot of edge so far, but when they do make their way into the circle, it can be pretty devastating. There you go. The ring continuing to just go directly south. I think that adds a lot of credence to what we're talking about here with an open-ended water zone to finish.
Looking at where a majority of the congestion is, Genome, Barometer where TSM is at, Optic Gaming, you can see Fnatic taking that north-southern angle here to see those squads that have to rotate out of Barometer. It's going to be very difficult, is it not, here when you have to rotate through that open water if you want to take a more western approach to the circle, but then you already have teams like NRG, Oxygen, Pioneers who are already sitting down and holding into that circle as Optic Gaming have the L-Star in their hands, looking to take this fight in the middle against TSM maybe.
Skittles with a Nemi L-Star. Can get an opening so quickly with that gun. 25 a bullet is kind of scary to play with. TSM not scared of the zone though, in the same vicinity. Oh no, that's not good.
TSM, though, did recognize the third party coming in from Riddle Order. That's why they're backing away in time. But Optic Gaming still have the health advantage that they're chasing right behind them. Get the grab.
And you saw they were so low on health. All of them are probably going to have to medkit right now. Meanwhile, Optic much better off and making the move up and getting good positions.
They got the further place ahead in terms of the rotation, planning ahead, trying to cut them off. Drop, though, and not get to follow up onto Hal. Verhos retaliates immediately. So Nocto overextended ever so slightly. but they can't let them reset.
No, they can't. But even if they just get one member, and let's say they can't get that back up, that would much diminish TSM's chances of finishing the game off here.
Optic Gaming pushing in on this and getting so aggressive also is an indicator that Optic already knew that this is TSM here. Black Hole getting called in. Arthur at his feet. Verholes, where are you going to fly to? Over to the side. Nice cover. Curly C on the other side. Skittle Cake now taking a different angle to prevent Verholes from trying to reset. The L-Star. The Meatball Slinger. We are going back in here. TSM get eliminated from the lobby.
It's a big moment. Dark Zero still in, and now they are the team who we will be looking forward to see if they can take away the fastest match point finals victory ever at a play Apex LAN.
Can you imagine? I like Apex. I want to see some more Apex. No speed run here, but that would be absolutely insane and not surprising if it was Dark Zero. TSM, one of our squads in match point, not in the lobby anymore. One left here, allowing maybe more squads to get right there too. Black Hand in a fight. Easy Flash gets deleted. Streaming Flame with a Nemesis and the car in his hand gets the crack immediately afterwards. Gets pinged from afar. You see the immediate pings too, knowing that he's literally one. Gets the knock to try to tie that out. It is Excess putting up the catwall.
Yeah, Pulverex also an issue here if these teams can't stick behind this cover well enough, but hopefully that catwall will allow Exet another life. You can see Pulverex is just getting sent upon now by Blackhand. They take over the fortifications that they built up.
Moist being able to help clean that up in that fight too from a distance. Exet resetting with the catwall in front of them. They see the exhibit over to the side, knowing that they're probably going to rotate off that little lip. Look who is still alive from Blackhand. Can he get the res is the question. It looks like he's going to go for it.
Yeah, I think they're out of earshot, honestly, so Exet probably won't hear that sound cue to let them know someone's rezzing, someone can come in here and maybe take advantage of that. Or maybe not. Here we go. Smoke behind, just so no one else can grief Exet too hard in this fight. It should be an easy 2v3 with Boogie down.
Especially with the Sear Attack landing at this point. You're going to be slowed for a little bit. They're looking to finish it off. That one last member of Blackhand running away with Sykes right behind him. Blackhand get eliminated, and look who picked up that KP. Zero says, thank you very much. NRG looking like they're in trouble. Can Gil do it again? The gravity lift up. The Black Hole. Literally one playing right behind the Newcastle barrier. And it doesn't look like they can stay alive. GO are able to take Energy out.
Bridge is an important position for still another circle or two. Fnatic try and take the gravity lift to avoid that bang of damage, but Umi-chan's already seen one too many battles here, and Yuka and Monstera join him in the grave.
Fnatic out of here. Dark Zero still playing off the low ground. Exit in their line of sights. Getting pinged from behind, though. Having to be careful. There's another squad behind them. Let's jump into a listening with Dark Zero to see how they rotate from this.
They're done. 60. They're in, guys. They're right here.
Okay, chill. Let me chill, alright? I can ward. Is this team being
crafting? Maybe one-on-one.
Heavy.
They have blues.
Yeah.
I'm blind, right?
Yeah,
I'm good on me, though, guys. I'm good on me. You should probably play on me.
I'm 2 bats. I'm 3-1. Come to me.
I just you said on the guy above me.
They're dying. I'm picking.
You're nothing for you.
Kill.
Yeah. Nice. Not your team.
Not team. I'm going back in. I'm looting.
Yeah, I'm looting. Go inside.
Nades.
Yeah. There's a guy up here. Zero.
There's a battle crafter. Okay. I need heals. Yeah, I can drop you 8.
Right here. That's a whole team. 40 on 1.
No bats.
I'm up here.
We have the evac. I don't have
we need to
look at left. Look at left.
Okay, I'm gonna Fini.
On car. Yeah, looking. He's getting naded. Besting.
Nice. Watch your team on height too, guys.
Oh, yeah, we have to.
Yeah, back.
We don't have a choice.
The back is good. Yeah, we have to do it.
There's someone right above us, though, I think. There is someone above us. There is someone.
I'm gonna pick you up late. I better.
I'm with you.
Chill. Come back. Fine squad.
I need back. Just don't be back.
I'm dropping you one. We need to go this side. You need to come this side. You need to come this side.
I got a few. Come.
Okay.
Dropping it.
I'm weak.
Pop that bat and come.
Yeah, I am. I'm batting.
There should be someone else. It's fine.
Yeah, we're running out with you.
Okay, I'm coming.
We can look up here and look left. I'm pretty sure that team might be a duo.
I don't know if we're back.
I'm just gonna make it.
We have to run. I don't know if I can evac. I'm gonna try taking it.
I'm hitting.
Take done.
I am. I'm taking.
Just float.
Maybe here.
Is this his zone? Land here. Oh my god.
Gliding.
I feel someone there, maybe.
It doesn't matter.
It's fine.
Chill in front of me. Chill.
I'm here. Someone's on us.
No, chill.
Okay.
Chill right here.
I'm making.
Shoot a little bit. I'm just guiding it.
Chill. We're good. They shouldn't push us. I'm playing parallels.
We need to play
cannon
too.
Full team cannon.
Yeah, we need to play a little left. We need to hold.
I can wall up.
No, chill.
Okay,
Just chill. Team here too, guys. Team here too.
Team cannon might push us.
70 of them.
Big on me. One's on me.
I got one.
Chill. They're getting shot in their back.
I'm breaking.
Straight down. Run left.
They're trying to fight us.
70.
I walled.
Chill.
They're running back, guys.
Chill. Wait, okay, on me.
They're running back.
Swing left.
Play right, guys. Play right. Zero, we have to play here.
They're close. I'm gonna come back there. Chill.
I can't. Chill. That is it.
On you.
You give me a reset, maybe a reset. Maybe a reset.
I'm gonna heal.
No, don't heal.
Res maybe.
Okay, res. No.
Push it. It's one guy. Flash time.
The dream is still alive. Dark Zero gets deleted out of the lobby as Faye's move in, and they are going to join him. 3 squads left. Alliance keeping themselves on the board. It's going to be Alliance, Oxygen Esports, and KCP who are alive on the other side.
No one else looking like they can make it to match point by the next game, but certainly a couple looking to push up further. Oxygen sitting on 40 at the moment might be the closest out of that. Actually, Alliance just behind them on 39. Dark Zero, it was a solid rotation, but too many teams. I don't know if they'd worked out if it was DZ or not. There was a lot of sending going on there.
It was intense there too because FaZe was holding that back, and the entire time Catwalk coming in for Oxygen. Bane looking low before he could pop a medi. Oxygen now moving in. Let's see if he can pop the shield back. He's going to start it right now. The ARCstars are getting hurtled currently in Aiden's direction. The gravity lift.
Alliance are in the best position to take care of this. They are just waiting for this to play out, but Pioneers have some high ground.
And the ARCstars nasty with these nades have been on another level. Currently KCP holding the high ground means the gravity lift is what this squad's going to do to try to contest them. Alliance lose out on Yuki in effect. This is looking to be KCP's game.
From the high ground is apparently it's just too much of an advantage. Oxygen stayed alive this whole time. Wow, the rat light does work out to grab them some points, but KCP and Nasky take center stage here in game 4.
Let him cook. He is hyped. We're doing it, boys. You can already hear it, and the Nasky comes. Lifting his team up in the air as the pop-off comes in. KCP, game number 4 are your winners. Nasky is somebody else, man. One of the most friendliest personalities in the scene, by the way. He is him.
Hopefully he's got some arm strength left after doing those teammate, bicep curls there.
It's not the deadlift with the rest of his team backing him up in the way that they were able to, holding that high ground.
Definitely some love in the crowd. The crowd was very happy also to see DZ go out there because they want more Apex, and I'm not surprised. It's phenomenal play here we've seen from so many teams today. Honestly, DZ did play that pretty well at the start. We saw them ranging out, right? Taking out teams left and right. And I think that was a really important decision early on, Vicky, because with how open that final circle was, the more teams that get stuck into it, the more chaos there is, the less chance you've got of playing that out as you want. I mean, teams will just have to push you because they've got nowhere else to go. So I think it was really good of Zero to lock in on that, to understand the win condition there in a strange circle like that, and then try and make that happen, even if that means they have to play a little less conservatively at the start of the game.
Even with the voice crack, hearing the comms is incredibly high, right? Seeing the rotation that you mentioned going in from Mill with the information that they had over on the other side, it also highlights KCP winning in the priority circle that they had with their POI. They naturally have the advantage since they land in chipfall. Looking back at the final circle, though, it's also nice to highlight Oxygen, who are sitting at 42 points. Now KCP is sitting at 41 points. Great way to highlight the start of World's Edge for our next game as we take a look. KCP from the Rock, Pride Rock, taking these shots with the Skull Piercer in 30-30.
Yeah, so this high ground they've got obviously a fantastic spot, especially when you got the Skull Piercer and everything going on there. I thought Alliance was in a good position, but we hadn't seen that sort of high ground shot yet, and maybe they were just waiting for the gravity lift. It seemed like it could have been an easy third party, but unfortunately KCP had just done too much damage to Oxygen and then were able to turn back and focus their attention as soon as Alliance did lift up to try and contest it.
It was also so smart to hold that different off angle for Zane, because he's the horizon, so he could gravity lift himself right back to the rest of his team, but he's holding this angle to contest the catwall, so that way they can option select and cover that side of the rock, so they don't get pinched in a situation like this. Beautiful. Look at this. Zane with the hipfire shots on the Prowler. We saw Nasky hit a disgusting art star at the very beginning of this fight to deal with the pressure oxygen from right behind, and it was just a cleanup here from Oxygen having to restabilize and then finishing off Alliance. KCP had all the time in the world to take the dub here in this fight.
Oxygen doing pretty well, by the way. I'm sure we'll get the scoreboard at some point, but I can tell you what, Oxygen after that second place are going to be challenging in the sort of contender period. But someone else who we should talk about right now is that man we just saw on our screen, Nasky. As you said, they played from their POI, right, so it didn't have to be a kill-heavy game from them, but they did pick up 9 in the end, and 5 of those went to this man right here. 1,420 damage, plays Catalyst, and, well, he's pretty happy right now. That's all we need to say.
I mean, you saw him. He even threw himself on the floor out here. He is completely locked in. Taking that dub, KCP is one of those squads where once they get the ball rolling, they are such a scary team to deal with when it comes to confidence and momentum. Looking at the results after that game 4, KCP take the dub with 9 KP to their name. Oxygen, you highlighted it. We not only see them get second place once again, but they're also able to secure it with 3 KP. These two teams up here are so close to match point. Don't be surprised if we see it in the following game.
Dark Zero pick up 9 kills. I mean, this series would have to go on very long for them not to get a minimum of second place, right? They are just far ahead of the pack right now, and a lot of that has come off that decisive calling by Zero, and they've just picked up so many kills every single game.
It's crazy to see, not only with them sitting at match point, but also securing so much KP, even in a game where they are. Second page right here, we're still seeing Ascend struggling a little bit, even though they were able to secure a nice spot with the Newcastle. But then we saw what happened with Dark Zero finding the opportunity to not only overtake that, but to secure that extra loot, all the way down to even Optic Gaming.
Yeah, but TSM in 18th, an uncharacteristic mistake from them, losing that early 3v3.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, I wanted to see in total the series results of what we have in our hands. We know already the two teams that are currently sitting at match point. DC, in these 4 games alone, getting 70 points. They got the dub, they got in the KP, but look at the gap that we are seeing. Even TSM holding 52 points after an insane first game, holding Godspot, getting a lot of KP themselves. It's crazy to see the disparity between these two teams that are sitting at match point. And then from there, from the rest of the lobby.
I mean, Vicky, they're averaging more than 15 points a game. Most teams, most elite teams over a season will average about 9 to 10 points on their best map. 15 points in the hardest lobby Apex Legends has ever seen is a monumental achievement.
To put into perspective, Zero in total has gotten 16 kills. Jen Burden has gotten 12, and Zainu has gotten 11. These fraggers are absolutely terrifying to face off against in a lobby, but they have to take the dub in the game to secure that victory today in the playoffs. That was game number 4, our final game on Storm Point. We are moving on to World's Edge, and that's going to be on the other side of this break. You don't want to miss this.
Monster Energy, the official energy drink of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Legends Global Series. On match points.
I can see so many TSM flags in the crowd. They could take it this game. DZ are looking phenomenal. So many jerseys I saw supporting them. 2 of our best team, 2 of our crowd favorites. It's going to be a big day here, and 4 games in, Vicky.
So many more hopefully to go as we make the transition into World's Edge outside of Storm Point. The hype has not died down. TSM fans in the crowd are roaring. DZ is looking to make some waves, and they got Oxygen and Pioneers right behind them. Moving on to World's Edge, we saw the contention from the very beginning, game number 1 against TSM, followed by FC Destroy coming in to take game number 2.
So, of course, we are swapping back and forth between the maps every 2 games. Good on one, not good on another. I mean, the teams who are winning, they tend to be pretty good at all of them. But that said, I mean, it changes a lot for some of these teams. TSM, of course, they're very happy to be home on Siphon here. You saw a little bit of trouble there in that last game, going out in 18th. DZ, they've worked very hard throughout this entire event and the scrims for months beforehand to secure Harvester to enable their playstyle.
And seeing, let's be honest here, Gino, seeing how many circles that have pulled south of World's Edge has just been insane, and that will benefit the likes of TSM Dark Zero on their rotation. I was wondering originally originally if we are going to still see the contention here in Lansan. And it looks like we are Mozambique in hand. And it looks like Black Hand already have the advantage. Oh my goodness. The PK? Gambare? They heard me taking onto the heavens here on the platform. You can't get anywhere though. The Mozambique enough to do enough damage to get that knock.
Is high ground enough? They're going to try and get the res. They hear this though and they push in immediately. Headshot with the Mozambique. And Black Hand get one back on them.
Gambare, you've taken me back to the lobby. Thanks very much. Black Hand now going to come out on top of this fight. Beautiful here as they need it. They're currently sitting in 19th, Gino.
Yeah, now Black Hand, they were talking about how they had some bad luck, basically, with the bins, opening them at the start, not get any weapons with those. So this time, it seems like luck is on their side. I'm sure they'll tell you it's skill, but I can tell you it's probably a combination of both. 2-1 to GO in this context now, but finally Black Hand get to enact their plans on World's Edge.
And a quick end to the fights that we've seen so far on Landslide, because we know who lands on staging, being NRG.
I just love how, we had so many people talking about this South Zone, and someone backstage has just flipped the switch, and we're going north again.
Raven's got too much information apparently already. Now we've changed things up a lot. Moving all the way up north is going to benefit Riddle Order. As you can see, the circle is going to be pulling possibly by the north side of the train tracks that we sometimes see with this circle. If it doesn't, we've also seen it pull by the rocks on the outskirts of Survey Camp. But regardless, look who's already on that rotate away from Climatizer. It's going to be Pulverex, neighboring that with FaZe, who could get involved in a third party against Pulverex and Riddle Order.
Eyes, of course, still on DZ and TSM. Actually pretty close to each other right now, with DZ going over the top of Fire Beavers. Does that evac tower that they've just used from the choke give them enough space to get past a team like Fire Beavers who will want to take a fight?
Look at the position that Pulverex is holding in. An insane rotation, by the way, after they got that information, wasting no time to get over to the north.
Fire Beavers trying to get some high ground to just get angles here. That's DZ that they're firing at. A crack onto Horizon. Zero gets away though, and DZ will continue their rotation, so they escape any further damage from now.
Priority here for DZ is to continue on that rotate so that way they could still hold the high ground around Epi in case they get contested by the likes of TSM, who are going to be rotating over from the east side, exiting out of Overlook. Would be expecting maybe TSM to actually come across Dark Zero here on this rotate. They're going to be able to loot some extra bins here before they decide how they want to take this next circle, because approaching from Climatizer would also mean you have some slight high ground on those buildings if you take the roof by waiting on where that circle is going to be pulling afterwards if you don't have a ring console information ready.
They are, of course, playing Seer, so they've got the recon passive to hit the survey beacons and get the UAV scan on every other player. It gives you information where anyone else is on the map. If they want to stick around in Epicenter, that will work in Dark Zero's favor.
Another squad rotating on the fence line. It's going to be FC Destroy. Still with the Watson and Newcastle, not expecting this to change here, but this is going to be great in securing the perimeter, actually, by these bins, where the chaos happens inside the buildings over in Climatizer would mean that if the squad cycle outside of those buildings, they're going to inevitably have to run into FC Destroy if they want the cover of the fence that it provides.
Let's go that way.
Something else to note. The southern building of Climatizer has a ring console. So some of these teams could deny that information for the squads that are slowly rotating or playing the edge of the circle, as well as a crafter that's there, but expect to be pressured out by some charge rifles or longbows, depending if the squads have line of sight over that crafter themselves. TSM already sharing this building, actually, by Climatizer. I like how they're holding the other northern side of this building, because if they have to rotate out, they won't be caught in the open lava area where the squads rotating outside of Overlook could deal with them.
Couple of teams in survey as well as the ones we're seeing here in Climatizer. So not everyone packing the same POI at the moment, whether that's because they feel there's less playable space or to TUM teams are actually just reading these zones differently. I think we might have to wait another zone or two to see which the case is.
100 Thieves trying to play this fight passively. Fnatic is to their north, but to their south is Dark Zero that I rotated away from Epi. Nice little longbow shot out here. He's got the Skull Piercer on top of that, and the 6-time scope. Looking for a poke opportunity here on the other side, but there's also the ability to just farm these Evo shields if you keep skirmishing with this other team.
Yeah, look, any 30-30 enjoyers, Skull Piercer enjoyers. Maybe if you're a wingman freak, you love to get that Skull Piercer on it. 96 helps out. That's Evo charge up for sure. It's ETSM with the ring information here have decided Climatizer is the play. Certainly the northern building probably a little bit more likely to be a good staging ground than the southern one right now. And Pioneers, you can see, in the same sort of area there with Phased.
I like this overlook because we currently see not only is it KCP sharing this building with TSM, it's also going to be FaZe, which is what I mentioned with FC Destroy now holding the outside perimeter with those Watson fences. It's going to get messy very quick because even if FaZe, KCP, or TSM rotate through the back end, they're going to be in the line of sight of Pulverex, who could bunker down because they got the Loba to secure more loot and because of the fact that they could play more of that bunker down playstyle with their composition.
Yeah, Pulverex really good at utilizing that Loba. Now look, there's 3 teams, Vicky, that are looking for a solid amount of points here, okay? We've got Oxygen Esports on 42, we've got Pioneers sitting on 41, and then we've got Alliance on 39. They're 3 teams to think about because they could be the next ones to get to match point.
Keep your eyes on these squads. Some of these teams that desperately need points, playing by the edge, playing that more patient play style like we've been seeing so far throughout this tournament from FaZe. They also need to be able to secure the KP that they need so that way they can also get close to that match point border. Dark Zero rotating through the train tracks. Also going to be able to see if there's any other teams in this area, which we've noted, Fnatic holding this position right next to Dark Zero. But it can also be difficult. Genome, you mentioned that sometimes when these areas have already been taken, especially that north side of the train tracks, if you rotate too early in a circle like this, you're going to inevitably be pinched. So you need to be careful.
This is a tough position. I mean, you can cat wall out here, but you probably have to expose yourself quite a lot to even, just put that up and lock off a 3v3 with Fnatic here. This is unusual for Dark Zero in them having to play from a position of disadvantage to try and make their way in.
They do have the jump tower there if they do want to take that. That is to say, if they get pinched in the next minute and less than 30 seconds once the circle closes in. But Fnatic look great in terms of loot, and they got the crypto. They probably have the EMP already at the ready to engage in a fight if they so want to. I don't expect a squad to third-party this position either with so many teams in the survey area.
So it looks like Dark Zero may even just be playing for the evac tower here, Vicky, to go for this and then perhaps pop all the way over. They've got a little bit of time to sort of make that decision. I'm reading this as a zone that's probably going to end up at the big sort of weather tower north of Climatizer. And teams up there like FC Destroy and Pulverex, I think, are going to be set up for success.
You know what's extra exciting about Pulverex's composition? We mentioned the Loba, we mentioned the bunker down comp with the Rampart, but the crypto is important to highlight there too, because with FC Destroy playing the Watson, that EMP is going to delete those Watson pylons. It's going to be difficult for the squads that are rotating outside of the building north of Climatizer to start an engagement when they already have weakened shields. So that could be crucial here for Pulverex, and they need it desperately here too, because I believe they're currently sitting with less points than a lot of these other teams that are already situated in the final circle.
Yeah, I mean, they can use that crypto ult to try and scare other teams away if they think they're getting a little too close, because obviously with a lot of other seers in the lobby, Vicky, you want that EMP coming down first before you get locked out and silenced with the focus of attention. But because they're a team who's obviously in the defensive position here, they can't necessarily force that as much.
Seeing the rotations from Alliance here too. Exiting out of Grandma's building. Alliance fans roaring the crowd out here, hearing some whistles. 100 Thieves still in survey, as well as Oxygen. They're not going to be moving anytime soon as they try to play on the border of the next circle. But it's a matter of any of these teams have that ring information that so many of our other squads playing patiently could get first.
Dark Zero not sticking by the balloon, actually. It looks like they're going a little bit further. And it's Alliance that are on the other end of that tunnel. Fire Beavers, always trying to look to get into some action early on. They're sitting down at Epicenter, and as you can see, both two juggernauts of this lobby.
Oh, they're
down
getting
here.
pinged.
Yeah, that's Exit. They're pretty far away, honestly, so it shouldn't be too far.
Yeah, it was an indicator that they probably went to Grandma's building to get the survey UAV beacon to find out which squads are already in the area. So that's also an indicator to let Alliance know that Dark Zero's in that tunnel, so they could try to force out a fight. What I'm worried about here with Fnatic still holding their position, as they shouldn't move here. Dark Zero could find themselves pinched if they go through the side tunnel that leads into survey, unless they take a much more patient approach to wait on the fights from the squads that have already been there all this time.
Over there.
Exit coming across from Skyhook West and Trials. Blackhand actually all the way outside the ring now, so probably besides Exit, one of the teams furthest away from where this game will end up.
Keeping at nearly 300 meters, making sure he could just ruin the fun and waste some meds. He's got the gold Evo. If anything, he could technically boost Nocturnal's Evo shield up with this charge rifle and 6x scope. But it's letting other teams know that there is a team over to the south side of Survey that are going to be rotating, adding in some extra pressure. 100 Thieves now have rotated into another building of Survey, while Oxygen are going to have to start rotating soon. That is Dark Zero that Exet is shooting at currently, still in the tunnel.
TSM still very happy up in their Siphon building at the moment. They won't be a factor until later. It does seem to be Dark Zero who will have to make the tough decisions earlier on in our Game 5. A minute left still. They're running back and forth here. I genuinely am fascinated to see which option they're going to go with. They could make a last-minute dash for that balloon and, go in just before they start taking that round 4 damage. Obviously, Zone 4 does tick a little bit harder. Zone 3 being sort of tankable.
Circle closing into less than 30 seconds. Fire Beavers playing outside of the circle, maybe looking to get to that beacon. It does look like that is the case.
Could be bad timing though. Blackhand have finally made it out of Skyhook and into the circle. If they catch them off guard here, they might hear the survey beacon makes a very loud noise. Ray has been caught off guard.
Even with the smoke, it's not going to be enough as a knock comes in. Fire Beavers down a member. Blackhand profiting as they rotate away, but Dark Zero not wanting to get involved. The evac tower called in while the Skyward dive on the other side.
Rotation options happening left and right.
Let's tune into a listen with Dark Zero to see how they plan out this rotation.
Might break it.
I'm already cracked.
Nah, I'm going to slide down.
Slide down. I think it's in right.
Okay, right.
Okay, ready? I'm running right.
We have to run.
Is it in the building?
Yeah, we should just go past it. Try to go past the wall or something. Okay, like right? Yeah, just do something.
Okay, the wall.
Wait, I can kill him.
I'm weak. Okay.
They did it twice.
I'm at the caravan.
Outside
caravan. One shot. I died to this though. You have to run in. Holding, zone holding. One guy.
One of the squads in the lobby that have been at match point now taken out. Dark Zero meet their doom on a very difficult rotation.
The man with the plan. I think that's usually a good name to describe Zero, but here he doesn't find a way to take his team north with them. That was never going to work. There were so many other squads either already in survey camp or also making this sort of last-ditch effort to try and get into the circle that Dark Zero had almost no chance to pull in from there.
That's why with so many teams in this area alone, surprised there was no Hail Mary on the balloon as we tune into LG. Also some Koayanya with the beam gets taken out with some height. Nizul, the only one alive for this squad. The Cossack Barrels trying to provide them some comfort and some extra cover. See if he can do it as NRG also gets deleted in the feed by LG. They come out on top here. They got the power weapon in hand as Oxygen are trying to rotate it.
Yeah, and they've got the high ground as well. Remember, Oxygen only 5 points away from hitting match point here. These kills could be crucial.
See how Oxygen plays around the respawn beacon here. Bane in a lot of trouble. Oxygen though are out in the open. Yes, they had the high ground advantage, but look, LG on the other side. Have the natural cover of the rocks. They could not get Jaguares back up. Nizul, though, has been playing off this rock so beautifully, but Yanya needs all the help. You can see the ping, probably a broken player on the side of Oxygen. Digi-Threat in the hands of Bane, playing right through the bank smoke. Aiden also in some help, but still managed to stay alive. LG out of this lobby in Oxygen now, just 2 points away. Rather now hitting match point right now.
Have they done it in time, though? We do see the gold knockdown able to res them, but they're right on the edge of the zone. They need to get in. It's going to be such a hard rotation.
2 more points left for LG to hit match point. They need to get 2 more KP or placement points as the rotation now comes in. Alliance north of 100 Thieves, shrinking for 100 Thieves. They don't have the natural cover of the rocks unless they go to the right.
Oh, both of the teams might struggle to get out of this one. As you can see, Alliance try and stay ahead of the zone and ahead of the game. Whoever wins this should be able to make it to the train cars just to the northwest of them, but they've lost effect.
The circle doing so much damage, bringing tears to the eyes of Alliance. Nice for the wall hop here. Akis! Oh, so much damage, but in the distance. Gets taken out by the teams that have them in their sight. Polvrex still in circle position. FC Destroy on the other side. Moist Esports taking a chunk out of the squad that had to rotate out from Alliance.
Moist have been a little bit quiet today so far, Vicky, in stark contrast to what we saw out of them yesterday. They looked like the best team in the lobby. Indeed, they were, but they are currently 23 points away from being match point. Now, if we have a look at this zone, damn, if I couldn't have called that any better. That is pixels away from the weather station I was talking about. Of course, that very small circle there to the left of Optic Gaming is where it will be ending up. Now, Polvarex have been eliminated. You can see some of the remnants of their amped cover still on that map feed there, but Fnatic have a lot of space to themselves.
Even more beautiful. Fnatic with the Crypto, the Bangalore, the Valkyrie composition. Playing this from the fence line. Seeing if they can get the EMP for an engagement if a squad tries to contest them for this space, but I'm not expecting that to happen until this circle starts closing in. Thinking about Optic Gaming holding the edge. FC Destroy that have not left their positioning this entire game. Closest team right now to match point in this lobby is KCP with 44 points.
All right, it's about to go down here on the south side. Vicky FaZe, TSM, Exit, and Pioneers all coming out of the building at the same time. Moist are on the west of this and should be able to pick up some free points here. They are going to look on with glee as Arcstars, Alts, Nades, everything come out from these 4 teams.
Oh, CSM reps getting double knock, taking out FaZe alongside Imperial Hal. The black hole gets called in. He's trying to dance around. He's forced to go into the circle. The gravity lift to take him up. He's taking so much damage off the health alone. Can't walk behind him, but you can't get out of the line of sight.
Anyone feel like a game 6? We're going again here. FC Destroy are the ones who come out of that alive. Moist also do very well. Both of our match point teams now are gone. Optic, they played this really well. Hid in a corner, essentially, on the right side of the map, and now have decided to make their move. They've got FC Destroy locked in behind that wall, but Exit are right next to them.
5 squads left. Let's jump into a listening with Optic Gaming holding circle advantage.
Think from us.
Yeah.
I'm safe. I'm really safe here.
Here, drop. Stare at my ping.
Yeah, they moved to us. Yeah, hang on, knock. On me, Horizon.
Coming.
Front, one. Dead.
Nice.
Another one, no anything.
Swap. Still a duo on the fence.
Yo, gold home in this box.
Need light. I got light. I'm holding it right. Dropping swap.
You have ult?
They're playing back here.
Okay, you're gonna Horizon ult the duo.
It's free kills, I should say.
Okay, fine. They climbed up?
They have to move. They're gonna put their just straight out.
people.
Keep backing.
I'm playing on low ground here.
Shoot their wall
Yeah,
out.
playing low ground.
Shoot their wall out.
Just Watson.
Flash, 50 flash, 60 flash. He's one. Nice.
Queuing up towards us.
Yeah.
I'm ulting these guys.
Cat, shoot on. 1-1. Crack 2. Crack 2. Zero.
Cat is one. Nading our other side, guys. They're swinging.
I'm landing. 60, 70 on top. You got the flash. Go crazy knock.
I got the ball.
Nice. Play aggro.
Crack the swap.
I have knock for you.
They're aping me.
Knock for you.
1v2. There's a gold swap on the ground. You can climb up to
left.
me.
Yes, climb up left.
You just got a battle up left.
Go down at the hands of Fnatic. The sigh of relief from this team as they were able to approach Optic from the back angle, crossing that open ground that Optic was holding for the longest. So close here, and Fnatic putting themselves on the board to pop outs from the crowd.
Patience pays pounds here for Oxygen, who almost get it to match point, but it's Optic Gaming who come out on top here. A big game. Sorry, Fnatic who comes out on top, but we've got some really awesome supporters up there in the crowd. You can see the flags coming out. APAC North yet to win a trophy here at LAN, but Fnatic slowly pushing their way to change that narrative.
I love seeing the size of the crowd. Fnatic win. I believe that sets them up with 35 points. We're going to have to see with the total kills that they were able to secure aside from first right there. But we're seeing so much from Yuka, getting 8 kills alone so far throughout the course of the day. They needed that dub to set them up. And Gino, that also means my favorite thing. It means more Apex Legends after we said goodbye to Dark Zero and TSM in the lobby originally. Let's see the final circle playthrough and how Optic had to play that originally, and seeing how Fnatic also approached that. It was good timing on their part here too, because they saw the fight opportunity open up for them to rotate in.
Now, remember, these guys had about half the circle to themselves coming into this. You can see very hard cover. Fantastic positions for them to be in. There's still 4 squads alive at this point, and they do actually let Optic Gaming do a lot of the work. That's FC Destroy. They've got a flimsy mobile shield, does not hold them out. And then with Moist still sticking around, it's going to be Fnatic rolling up on them with the GG threats.
Now, what I loved about this too is from Optic's point of view, we saw the gravity lift and then the option coverage from Optic to try to find a Fnatic. They knew they were going to rotate here. You saw Wuchang going down first before Skittlecake met his doom as well. But this was beautiful. Melstera having the Digi, having the smoke, having all the view here too, while Yuka is going to be able to pop that shield bat before finishing off what was left of Optic Gaming from the back end. Great timing and rotation from Fnatic. And just like you mentioned in what we've seen, Genome, they were also able to hold that circle position from the very beginning.
Optic did well there to get into that top 2, but unfortunately for them, Fnatic and Yuka, we had an interview with him earlier.